Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. It's now 7 o'clock p.m. We will be beginning our regularly scheduled City Council meeting on this date, June 20th, 2023. But before we do that, we have two public hearings on city ordinances that went through first reading already at the last council meeting. And so before we open up the meeting, we will have the public hearing on the ordinances. So, first ordinance for the public hearing is going to be ordinance 1110, ordinance 1110 concerning amending chapter 162 called solid waste. This is an ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to amend chapter 162 solid waste. At this moment, is there anybody in the audience here this evening to speak on ordinance 1110? No comments. Any comments from the council? Okay. Without any comment from the council and any comments from the citizens, I now close public hearing on ordinance 1110. Time is 7:02. We will move over to the other ordinance for public hearing, which is going to be ordinance 1111, concerning amending chapter 205 zoning through lots and fences. This is an ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to amend City Code section 205 zoning. Is anybody in the audience here this evening to speak on ordinance 1111? Any comments from the council? Okay. Any comments from the citizens or council? I now close public hearing on ordinance 1111. The time is 7:03. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The time is now 7:03 p.m. I call to order a meeting of the mayor and the city council for the city of Havre de Grace. The date is June 20th, 2023, a Tuesday evening. I will call the roll. Council President Ringsager.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson.
Here.
Councilmember Jones. Councilmember Boyer, absent. Councilmember Shenagus.
Here.
Councilmember Boger.
Here.
Okay. If everybody could be kind enough to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could kindly ask everybody to remain standing. It gives me great pleasure once again to invite a good friend of ours back to the podium, Reverend Gene Proud of Proud Evangelistic Association. Welcome, sir.
Let's pray. Father, we know your blessings, and one of your blessings is rain, and we could use some. We need it nice and controlled and steady, and for a couple of days. Just enough to get all of your wonderful plants to be green and look like you want them to be. And we also want the blessings to come upon these members of the council in this city. The council to have wisdom and knowledge and favor, so that everything that they do and say and decide will be for the people to have a peaceable and productive life. We ask these things in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Gene. Council President, I have a favor to ask if the council is willing to oblige. I have a recognition I wanted to give to a city employee but the city employee is, well, it's of a time restraint, and I'd rather get it done sooner than later this evening. And I was wondering if we could do it right after approval of minutes, but right before public comment.
Absolutely, with no objection from council.
No objection from council? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, council. Okay. We're going to go to item 5, approval of the minutes. We have the city council meeting minutes of June 5th, 2003. The council have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
A motion by Council President and seconded by Councilmember Schnegas. Questions or comments on the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City council meeting minutes of June 5th, 2023 carry 5-0 in the affirmative. Item B, city council closed session meeting minutes of June 5th, 2023. Motion to approve.
Second.
Set.
She wasn't here. She needs to abstain.
Okay.
Second.
We'll do a motion by Councilmember Boker and second by Council President.
And abstention from
And abstention from Councilmember Jones. Gotcha. Motion by Councilmember Boker, seconded by Council President. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Mr. Mayor?
City Council closed session meeting minutes of June 5th, 2023 carry 4-0 in the affirmative.
If I may read the vote into the
Yep.
minutes. At the advice of the city attorney, because everything is public, I don't have to read the entire thing. However, I am required to read the vote. So, a motion was made by Councilmember Robertson to retain Barron and Budd PC, Cosich, Summit, Parciola, and Taylor LLC, and Pool Law Group to proceed with the PFOS multi-district litigation complaint on a contingent basis. Second by Council President Ringsacher. Motion carried 5-0. Motion made by Councilmember Robertson, second by Council President Ringsacher, to proceed against McKinsey for the additional claims for the opioid MDL with existing outside counsel. Motion carried 5-0. Council President Ringsacher made a motion to adjourn the closed session. Second, Councilmember Robertson. Motion carries 5-0. Time of adjournment of closed session, 11:10 p.m. Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much, Council President. Item C, City Council public hearing meeting minutes of June 12th, 2023. Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Schnegas. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council public hearing minutes are approved 4-0 in the affirmative. Okay, Council, like I said, we just amended the agenda briefly before the a few minutes ago. I wanted to recognize an employee real quick before we went into comments from citizens. I want everyone to think about the importance of public safety and what it has meant for the city of Havre de Grace over the last couple of decades. And tonight, I want to honor a city employee.
She's wondering, what's this going on?
I wonder which employer that is. EJ.
Well, you know, nothing ever gets past the chief, so, ever. So this has been quite an undertaking here. I just want to, now, Chief, I know you don't like any attention, but I have to say a couple things. Many of us in Havre de Grace have lived here a while, have realized that we take for granted that our state continually ranks in the top 10 pretty much every year, and one of the safest cities to live in the state of Maryland out of 157 municipalities. And, you know, I'm not saying that the odd bicycle doesn't get stolen or you know, graffiti doesn't happen, but we pretty much feel safe living in the city of Havre de Grace, and we have a great police department. We've had great officers over the years. But for those of you who don't know, Chief Walter has served as citizen of Havre de Grace since 2005, 18 years. That's almost a whole second career, almost, 18 years. And she's done so by contract, and these contracts get renewed every 3 years. And I know that Mayor Craig brought you aboard right before he became county executive. And I know you've served under Mayor Carreri and you've served under Mayor Doherty. And I've had the privilege and honor to work with you over the last 8 years, as well as many of the staff members here tonight. So I know you're probably thinking, what's up our sleeve, right? Yeah, happy retirement. We heard that you're better at golf than you are. No, I'm kidding. No. But tonight, a lot of us have been talking just about how the police department is at a really good place right now. Citizens have often talked about just how run the department is, the response, the feeling of safety in our city. I think probably right now it's the best it's ever been. And I know you've been through, we all have been through, but especially you and your department, a lot of change and a lot of transition. I mean, the recession that took place around 2008 and lasted for 8 more years. I remember being on council at the time, and we had some really hard budget meetings. Not that we didn't want to fund emergency services, we wanted to fund everything. But I mean, but you kept your department together, even in times with your leadership, even in times when it was your leadership that kept officers here rather than go other places where there was more money. And you can't put a value on that. That was you and you alone to guide us through that recession. And, we've had our ups and downs. We've had some, in the city, there's been some, issues on a national level that kind of came to Havre de Grace, and we've always handled it very professionally for the citizens. And then more recently, we've all lived through the COVID pandemic and how that must have been extremely hard, to provide that level of law enforcement and safety to citizens under those restrictions that haven't been tried or tested before. So we're all very honored to have you as our chief, but there's some things that the public may not know about our chief, and that Chief Walter served as the president of the Maryland Chiefs of Police Association back in 2015, and coincidentally, she also served as the president of the FBI National Academy Associates at the same time. Both positions are the completion of a 4-year commitment to the board of directors from each group. That you also served as the chair of the Maryland Chiefs. That you also served as the chair of the Maryland Chiefs Presidents Association annual training seminar and conference for a number of years. That you also a graduate of the Johns Hopkins Police Executive Leadership Program and a master's degree in management. So you're very accomplished. You haven't been sitting around doing nothing in the last 18 years. So I was going to ask you if you could kindly meet me in the well. I have something for you. And can I invite the council members with me, please? Sorry, Chief, I knew you'd surprise us. So, talking to some of your council members over the last couple of weeks, and wanted to read something to the record about our appreciation. City of Havre de Grace, Maryland, Office of the Mayor. Whereas on May 16, 2005, Russell Walter was appointed as Chief of Police for the City of Havre de Grace. And whereas Chief Walter possesses exceptional leadership qualities that have created a culture of community policing and integrity. Whereas since being appointed Chief of Police, Chief Walter has set a high standard of excellence for herself, her officers, which has built a positive relationship between the police department and our community. Because of the leadership of Chief Walter, the Havre de Grace Police Department and its officers are regarded as trustworthy by our community and have earned a widespread respect across the state and our nation. And therefore, I, William T. Martin, Mayor of the City of Havre de Grace, along with the members of the Havre de Grace City Council, bestow upon Chief Walter the honor of a 2nd star. To recognize the achievement and professionalism of Havre de Grace Police Department under your leadership. I could call Howard up. Now, I want everybody to know when the chief came here, she had star, I don't know if that was department policy or you bestowed that on yourself, the star? No, it was the star. I don't know, I mean, it's random, I mean, if you reach out to MML, some chiefs will have a colonel, some will have 2 stars, 4 stars, but I noticed that our chief has had 1 star for 18 years. And we were talking the other day, and especially from the perspective of another person who works for us who has 2 stars at one point, that the work that you put in isn't just recognized by a paycheck, and never is. But we thought that the 2nd star would also be more emblematic of the respect that your officers have for you, that this is about the men you serve, not the person who's receiving it. Howard, give me the honor of presenting our chief with her star.
Here you go. And thank you for paying the bills the last 18 years.
Never see a wrinkle in it. How many minutes does it take to dress a woman? Maybe more than 2.
And I'd like to get a picture of the chief and her husband at the council, but then I know we have some visitors. I'd like to invite the county sheriff and any officer up here that would like to draw the picture, say a few words as well.
This is obviously the safest location in the world.
All right, make sure you're looking at me, nowhere else, because it looks stupid if you're looking somewhere else, okay? Okay, I think you got at least one.
Officers, sheriff. I know we have Chief Moore from Bel Air. Thanks for being here. Pat, right before you take this picture, I'm gonna have a couple guys say a few things real quick, right? But I'm glad you got them in speaking position. So I'm gonna hand it off to Sheriff Gaylor, and if anybody else wants to say a few words, that'd be great.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I got to congratulate you on a nice event, a recognition. I'm probably going to pay a price. I know Howard's going to pay a price for surprising her. General Taylor was kind enough to reach out to me and ask what I thought about it. I think there's no one more deserving. For those who do not know, before I ran for sheriff the first time, I actually thought I'd have to run against this young lady. She was the person that I thought of as my biggest threat to ever achieving sheriff. So I'm glad you have kept her so happy down here in Havre de Grace for 18 years, because I still got more I want to do. But congratulations, you could not ask for a better man or woman to be the chief of police here and have a better working relationship with not just the sheriff's office, but all the law enforcement, local, federal, and state in our area and in our county for sure. So a great recognition for a great lady. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Teresa. It's well-deserved, and it's just like you pointed out, 18 years at this career and 26 at the sheriff's office. Very impressive and well-deserved. You've always been very helpful with me through some tough times, and I appreciate that. Joe, you always have something to say.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Go ahead, Jim.
Sorry, I screwed up. There we go.
Nice and tall. Put those shoulders back. There you go. Okay, I think we got it.
Thanks again, I appreciate you. Hey, thank you, everybody. Appreciate the interruption in the agenda. We now go to item 6, comments from citizens. Item 6, comments from citizens, is the point of the council meeting that if you're here to speak on an agenda item, now's the time to do so. Also, if you're here to speak on any other matter of city business, now is the time to do so as well. Normally what I do is if citizens filled out a form online to speak, I'll call on those citizens first. And if you didn't, no worries. All you got to do is, when I get to that part, just raise your hand, and if you recognize, you can come up and say a few words. So let's see here. These are in no particular order. I call Miss Lisa Altland. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. Hold on, I have to get this.
Sure. Welcome, and may please have your name and number for the record, please.
My number?
I mean, name and address.
Okay. Pardon me. My name is Lisa Altland, and I live at 614 Chapel Heights Drive in Havre de Grace, Maryland.
Welcome.
Thank you. I want to pardon my appearance. I just came over from Havre de Grace United Methodist Church Vacation Bible School, where I am the Christian Education Chair. So a lot of kids are having fun over there while we're doing this. Good evening. I'm here once again to speak on the proposed parking part of the revitalization project. After the last council meeting, I emailed all of the city council, and I would like to thank Mr. Robertson, Mr. Boker, Ms. Boyer, Ms. Jones, and Ms. Sneegerass for replying to my email. Unfortunately, Mr. Ringsacker did not reply. Since the last meeting, I have spoken to many of our tax-paying citizens and downtown merchants who are against the proposed parking elimination of 65-plus spaces. I spoke to merchants in the 100 block of Washington Street and St. John Street who have said their businesses will indeed suffer if the parking spaces are eliminated. They also believe that the project was a done deal and that there was nothing that they could do to save the parking. La Cucina, Jamie Bakes, Le Petit Boscu, Washington Street Books, River Dental, Vincenti Decoys, Crazy Eight's Hair Salon, My Gossip Girls Consignment Shop, Glimpse. Some of these folks I have spoken to personally, and some I was told by the other merchants that they are against the removal of 65-plus parking spaces. Lynn Lang, owner of Crazy Eight's Hair Salon, has already lost one of her chair rentals because she feels that the parking project will go through as planned, and she can accommodate 2 to 3 clients at a time while she's working. Many are senior citizens who cannot walk the 2 to 3 blocks to get to the salon if the parking were eliminated. And she moved to Aberdeen. Just look at the doctor's offices, who are also empty in Havre de Grace because we lost the hospital. They're also moving to Aberdeen. I was told by one merchant, if my business closes, it doesn't just hurt me. I have a husband and 2 small children. It hurts my entire family. Her main concern was if people can't park on Washington Street, they will park on St. John Street, taking the parking for her 2 customers. She was also concerned because St. John Street will remain old and shabby with major potholes and uneven sidewalks. As I have mentioned before, I have to drop off my 84-year-old mother at the middle of the street on Fridays when there's no parking for her weekly hair appointment at Crazy Eight's. I also have photos of an older couple where he has to leave his car running in the middle of the street to walk her into the salon because she is unable to walk in on her own, and she also has a weekly appointment. Downtown Havre de Grace has many service businesses, and these people need their day-to-day parking. Mr. Robertson mentioned at the last meeting the sidewalks for pedestrians, and if you go down and look at the sidewalks, they are wide enough as they are now. You can walk in pairs. You can accommodate a wheelchair, a stroller, or a walker. However, whose ever bright idea it was to add the bricks to the sidewalks instead of replacing the sidewalks, it's certainly not functional. The only place where folks need to walk in single file is where the trees are placed. Now, the trees downtown are dirty and messy, and unfortunately, when these trees were chosen for the downtown area, it wasn't a good choice. If these trees are removed and new trees are planted, a bump out, which is part of the current proposed plan, is not necessary to showcase them. There is room to plant them where the old trees are now. Beautiful does not always mean functional, and in this case, the merchants downtown require parking that is functional to survive. So I stand with the downtown businesses as well as our tax-paying seniors and handicapped citizens who choose businesses in Havre de Grace to frequent. It would be quite a shame to spend $13 million of free money from the federal government to do something special, only to have empty storefronts in the downtown area. On the city's website, one of the main buttons is Start a Business, quotes. I ask you, why would anyone want to open a business in downtown Havre de Grace if there is not adequate parking to accommodate their customers? I am also concerned, and many other taxpayers in Havre de Grace are concerned, about the status of a contractor on the payroll in Havre de Grace, Mr. Randy Taylor. Mr. Taylor makes $200,000 a year to serve as a contractor on the revitalization project. He has been on the payroll for the last 2 years, and I am told that his contract is up for renewal. Mr. Taylor lives in Florida and maintains an apartment in downtown Havre de Grace. The mayor has gone to Florida to Mr. Taylor's home or his area and spends time with him. My questions are, what is Mr. Taylor's job on a day-to-day basis, and how is he qualified to be a contractor on the revitalization project? Why are the taxpayers paying him $200,000 a year? When the mayor visits Mr. Taylor in Florida, is he paying for these trips himself, or are the city taxpayers footing the bill? Does the city pay for Mr. Taylor's back and forth trips? Why is it even necessary to make these trips in the age of Zoom? The folks who are against the parking are being told by the mayor and city council, why didn't you attend the virtual charrettes? So why would the mayor even need to go to Florida for anything concerning the revitalization project? By the way, the city's website needs updating, as the emails for Mr. Boker and Ms. Jones are not available at this time. Thank you. Now, Ms. Lynn Lang owns Crazy Eights Hair Salon, and she couldn't be here tonight, so she asked me if I would read a statement for her. I wanted to be here tonight, but due to unforeseen circumstances, I could not be, so Lisa Auckland is speaking on my behalf. My first question is, what happened to the petitions we handed over at the last meeting? Second, as for Mr. Boker, you stopped in my salon and signed our petition. What are your thoughts on the parking situation now that you're in office? As Lisa said before, I've already left a chair renter due to the parking plan. She moved to Aberdeen, a loss of over $300 a month. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for clarification for the record, Mr. Taylor is not the project manager for the downtown revitalization project.
I didn't say project.
What'd you say?
I said he was a contractor.
For the downtown revitalization. That's what you said.
Consultant for downtown revitalization.
And he also doesn't make $200,000 a year.
Okay.
Sounds like you've been bit by the rumor mill.
Well, what is his salary a year?
What's that?
Do you pay your own trips
It's
down
public
there?
record. What is his salary a year?
What's that?
It's public record. What is his salary per year?
You could get information. You can find out.
Oh, okay.
I mean, come on back. When you come back, you can tell us.
Well, I'll be coming back. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, you know, accusing me of going down to Florida has something to do with anything about how the city's being run.
Martin, do you want me to say who told me that you went to Florida? Would you like me to say it to the public? Because I'll say it right now.
Well, go ahead.
Your sister.
That's fine.
And you're down there with Mr. Taylor.
Absolutely.
Okay, is that on the city's dime?
No, it's not on city dime.
Are we paying for your trips to Florida?
What's that? Well,
For his decor.
okay.
Being downright rude because I got information.
You have no information. I pay for my own trips wherever I go anywhere, whether it's to Mumbles or whether it's to Florida. Mr. Taylor is a contract employee. He's a consultant. He makes $180,000 a year, and he serves many roles for the city, primarily the role of chief of staff. But he has a lot of different roles, and he's a very busy man. And to accuse me of any kind of impropriety, such as going down to Florida on the taxpayer dollar, is ridiculous. I know you guys are very bitter about the parking situation.
No, it has nothing to do with the parking situation. It's transparency to the taxpaying citizens.
How were we not transparent? How were we not transparent? How were we not transparent?
There's a lot of people that would like to speak, me included. If you can carry this on, maybe in private, I would appreciate it. Thank you. I filled out a form.
I'd like to call Miss Sarah King up.
I haven't done this before. Hi, my name's Sarah King. I live at 564 Bailiff Road, Northeast Maryland. I'm here once again, basically to beat a dead horse. Again, I'm totally against changing the parking. And I know I presented with Lynn Lang the last time I was here, application or petition, and I never heard anything back from anyone about it. If you were considering it, if you even acknowledged it, I had to leave the podium and force Steve to take them. So I don't know if they were thrown in the trash. I don't know what happened to them, but is there any insight on what you're thinking of it?
We have the petitions back in the administrative offices. I've been given no direction on what to do with them.
Okay.
Yep.
So where would your direction come from, sir?
From the mayor and council.
Okay. So is there a time that we should have maybe we should all get together and have a meeting about that? What would you like us to do as citizens who are still really concerned about this?
We have them.
I established that fact. So what do you want to do next? How do you want to handle that?
Well, we can put them all in the council chamber and have the council look at them and see what the council wants to do with them.
That would be one step in the right direction. Perfect. Okay. I guess that's it. Like I said, we covered the same stuff. I'm still on the thing about the parking ruining businesses and taking our livelihood away. And I know the dollar amount that I would be per each week, each month, and the whole year. So if you need those dollars amounts, I can also present those.
Okay.
Would that be helpful?
You're not addressing me, you're addressing the
Just
mayor and city
everyone.
council.
Anyone who will speak to me.
If I can remind everybody, this is citizen comments, it's not a question back and forth.
Well,
So this is for you guys to air your grievances, and you can talk to us. The reason why I was called out, because I didn't respond, was because I have seen the vitriol in some of the emails and some of the responses in the Facebook pages, and the way that some people have acted, and I refuse not to engage.
oh, okay, that makes sense, but I didn't
Okay,
know.
and it's nothing personal. If people want to talk to me cordially, call me up or whatever, that's fine, I'll respond to them. But to call me out personally because I didn't respond, because I literally tried to take the high road and step back, I think is petty. I'm asking, again, this is this is citizen comments, this is not a question and answer forum. If council wishes to respond, they're welcome to, but this is not a time to ask us questions. You can reach out to us cordially and nicely, that's fine, we'll respond. But again, when things get heated, and people get angry and respond in heated manners, I'm not saying you specifically, I'm saying that I've gotten twice today several emails where I'm not going to respond to them because I don't respond to those emails. I also don't respond on Facebook when people call me out certain, forums because I don't think that's appropriate, and I'm not going to sit here and have an argument on public on Facebook. We're citizens in the community. We live here too. We're trying to improve the place. We understand that people have different viewpoints. We can act civilly when we do this. That's all I ask. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Mr. Kirk Smith. Good evening, Mr. Smith. Welcome to the City Council meeting. May you please have your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Kirk Smith, 840 Otsego Avenue, or Street, Havre de Grace, Maryland, 21078. I would prefer not, I filled out the forms, and I'm just going to be short. Tree boxes are a great idea. Bioretention soil is superb for new trees. It gives the roots time to expand outwards and downwards without being compacted. Most modern treescapes don't take it into account, and what happens is you get buckling on the new sidewalks, and that has to be leveled out. And as this city, I think it was in 1898, successfully defended the fact that city sidewalks are cities. I think it was 1898, it was a long time ago. There's over 28 citations in Maryland state law as it is, but that's incredible. But yeah, that's off the point. Bioretention soil is basically made up of sand, some soil, and some amendments. And it's specifically designed to stimulate and help promote great tree root growth. What most people don't understand, though, is that you've actually got to have air down in the roots of plants. I know some of us are all friends, and you see my posts all the time. I have some of the healthiest plants in all of Havre de Grace for growing food, trees, and everything else. And I planted a successful amount of trees, most that you know of, in various city parks and activities. And most of those trees, I think we've lost one or two, and they were experimental trees that were rated for this zone, but maybe not perfect for this zone. We've lost one peach tree. We have 4 successful peach trees. We stuck in 4 sticks of elderberries into the ground, and they grew up into this huge tree that the birds and people enjoy. So I know trees. I speak for the trees, and I like the tree boxes. The trees are going to like the tree boxes. I have a couple pointers, though. Historically, in the 1700s, when everything went goods-wise down the river instead of over land, the 3rd biggest product that the city of Havre de Grace produced and shipped down towards Baltimore and the bigger cities was produce. Product grown from trees, product grown in gardens, everything else. I would ask that the city council try to remember that 1 out of every 7 trees should be a fruit-bearing tree. but to be smart. We don't want fruit-bearing trees that are messy in our cityscape. By messy, I mean my favorite fruit-bearing tree, which isn't really a fruit, it's just a seed tree, is a serviceberry tree. There's 2 of them. I'm not going to give you all my city locations, but there's 2 of them that we just found last year, and we've been living in this town for 12 years. Great producers, but they do get on the sidewalks. Well, not as many nowadays because we found them and we harvest from them. There is a huge mulberry tree that makes a big mess all over a specific street. We found that this year too, and we're trying to clean that up. Well, we can't clean it up because some of the branches are on private property, some of it's on city property, but we've been harvesting there and cleaning up the branches and tossing them as we go because that's what we do. So I'm not recommending those trees. I'd also stay away from any of the poplar trees. They have a tendency to pull up water, which is great for what our design is, but the branches break because they get so heavily loaded, and that is a walking area, and it will be a parallel parking area, if you understand. We don't want to damage anybody's cars or cause personal injuries, so we should stay away from that. I would recommend that as far as we go for trees, we want to go with the dwarf or semi-dwarf trees. That will create a lot less maintenance for the city DPW by going with that. And I can be contacted anytime by DPW. I have some tree recommendations, mainly stone fruits, and if you don't, that's an old term, but I grew up in Michigan, so that's like pears, heavy on pears, apples, stuff that actually produces a seed but is more compact. Anyways, I would like to share with everybody one other location. Outside of the U.S. Post Office on city land, there are 2 of the nicest, oldest Granny Smith, somewhat tart apple trees growing. One of them's kind of got a little bit of damage to it, but the other one just went nuts this year. It didn't do anything last year. It's incredible. So anyways, that's me letting you know that I have some thoughts, but I really like the tree box. And I like tree trenches too. So I'm very familiar with how they did that in New Jersey when I spent a year up there on Brack because weekends kind of were boring. So tree boxes, tree trenches, great idea. Namaste. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'd call forward Ms. Jolene Forrester. Good evening, Ms. Forrester. Welcome. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Jolene Forrester, 137 North Washington Street.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. I'm a member of the Tourism Advisory Board. I'm also the Chamber of Commerce board member. I'm active in the merchant group. And I'm also the owner of Joe Retro, one of the largest retail stores in Havre de Grace. I have 3 Airbnbs that operate on North Washington, and I'm actually excited about the plan. I know that in the beginning I participated in the charrettes. I have an interior design background. I worked for Verizon for many years in commercial design. I'm familiar with what it takes to do a project. It's not an easy job. I'm more concerned about the communication with the city and the merchants and helping us find alternative parking during construction. Parking, I was on the parking committee. We asked for that. Bridget was wonderful to help set that up with the merchants that wanted to be in that group. We did identify that property on Congress that the city is purchasing for additional parking, and we would like to work with the merchants in town to find alternative parking for their employees, perhaps behind their shops, so that they're not parking on the street parking. I think the wider sidewalks and the parallel parking on North Washington is a really good thing. Originally I sent a letter in February of 2022 to Patrick Seipold, asking them maybe to make a compromise and leave the angled parking on Pennington Avenue. This was before the full plan was revealed, and the concept for the civic spine from the Star Center down to the river was proposed. At that point, I thought maybe it would be a good idea to do that on my side of the street and still maybe provide angled parking on the opposite sides for the people that can't always parallel park, and it would provide additional parking for the reserved parking for the fire department and the dentist, River Dental, that's on that road. They have a lot of people that come and go during the day, every day of the week, except the weekends. And then we also have 28 apartments right at the corner of Pennington and North Washington. That doesn't count all the other apartments in town, and you have a lot of residents that need to have a place to park. Not all of them drive, but many of them do, and many of them, and several have more than one car per person. So people want to park near where they live, they have groceries, they don't want to walk at night when it's dark very far to where they live. So that was my concern too, with losing the parking downtown. I really think that North Washington, going down through the plaza and then onto St. John would be really nice if we could keep that cohesive and have it all match. I know the budget is a concern. I would propose possibly maybe trying to shift the money from Pennington and move it to St. John so that the new road could go all the way down to Coakley's and not be different, especially with the infrastructure that needs to go down to the water plant. I don't honestly know whether the additional wide park area near my store would be a benefit. It could be wonderful. I envision that sales downtown for a lot of the stores will increase. I don't think that they understand how it will bring additional people to town. It may not be the best for service industries, and I understand that, and we can't help everyone. Not every business may find that their customer base will do well with the new project, and that's something you have to decide for yourself and your business. I would lose 7 parking spots alongside my business with the plan, along with many more, the whole 65 for convenience. My clientele, a lot of them are visitors. They make a special trip. They're going to find a place to park in town, and I think it would be wonderful to have the city have an interactive map that shows all the different parking and to improve the signage for those parking lots. But I think it's short-sighted for a lot of the residents to think that things should stay the same and maybe we should just replace the sidewalks and leave everything the way it is. That would be a mistake, honestly. If we can't do the civic spine all the way down to the park at the water's edge, maybe that becomes the second project, and St. John gets the facelift that they need so that as people walk through town from the top of Congress down all the way to Coakley's, it all looks the same. And that's just, from a design standpoint, might be an option you might want to look at. And that's really all that I wanted to share tonight. So
Thanks,
I'm
Jolene.
looking forward to working with the city and the merchants to make it a successful project. It will be difficult while we're doing construction, I'm aware of that, and I'm hopeful that the city will really communicate and help us in any way they can.
We will. Thanks, Jolene.
Thank you.
And I have one more pre-filled out form. Ms. Carrie Parsons? Welcome, Ms. Parsons.
Thank you, sir. Carrie Parsons, I would appreciate not providing my address. It is on the thing. Mayor, council members, over the past few weeks within this council chambers and throughout social media, citizens of Havre de Grace have commented upon the plans for the downtown area, specifically regarding the potential loss of parking spaces. I sympathize with the business owners, the tenants, the elderly, the disabled persons, with all the changes that will come to our downtown. Change is hard. The city of Havre de Grace is no different than Northeast or Bel Air. Both locations are older communities, landlocked by historic buildings, small inner vacant lot, and constrained by aging infrastructure. With this comes the question of parking in general, parking for convenience or pedestrian safety. Comments being circulated are elderly and disabled are not able to park close enough to a desired location. When searching in the city's archives, there were only 2 businesses within the downtown area that formally requested handicap parking on Washington and St. John Street. Given the claims of client base amongst other comments, one would think they'd engage with the city for increased handicap spaces. In my opinion, I have noticed tenants living in the buildings, business owners, and their employees all trying to get that perfect parking spot for convenience. Notice how I have not mentioned clients or guests, for they too are looking for that perfect parking spot just for convenience. I have walked and driven down the streets during different times of the day and noticed empty parking spots, maybe not where people would like, but there's open spots during the weekdays. Weekends are different. Personally, our downtown sidewalks are dangerous, and in my opinion, a high liability not only to the city, but to our businesses. They are too narrow for 2 adults to walk side by side to navigate. We add in benches, trees, business signs, other beautifications to take up the viable walking space. Visually impaired and other disabled citizens have difficulties navigating the sidewalks due to unevenness, grates, bricks, lights, signs, entry steps, and other various hazards. Pedestrians crossing on Union, St. John, Washington, and the assorted cross streets are extraordinarily dangerous. Again, it's documented in our various committees and commissions, city council reports, state and county surveys. My question to everyone, how many times have you had to perform a brake check driving down Union, St. John, or Washington by a person trying to cross? Mayor, unfortunately, this is one of those situations where after 2 or more years of planning, not behind the scenes, but up front, has finally caught up with the attention of the citizens. And while occasionally you and I have differences in opinion, this is one of those times where, in my personal opinion, we have failed you. We've been self-absorbed, focused on other life matters, and not fully engaged as we should be in our civic duty. To citizens on the committees, those that attend council meetings and regularly ask questions, otherwise and constantly engaged with our officials and with the administration, I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart. We're all busy, we all have personal lives, and unfortunately, until something such as this catches the attention of the masses, we're truly ignorant of just how much work and personal time it is involved by the city employees, to our council, and especially you, Mayor. Our city is landlocked with decrepit infrastructure, and as the city council and the administration and you have stated, the design is only 1/3 of the way complete. During the last meeting, you mentioned the city is possibly engaged in purchasing another piece of property for the purpose of parking. In addition, there's potential for bids, proposals by an engineering design to take it further than what Tool has provided us and bring proposals to the city and the citizens for final approval. I appreciate and I thank you, council, to all the city employees, all of them trying to find a solution. What I really have not heard, not only from the citizens on social media, but for only one other person here, are possible solutions or recommendations. So I bring a solution or a recommendation. Is there a way that we could possibly change the route on the Tide? Maybe one trolley do a smaller loop to hit the bigger parking lots more often. Bring them directly downtown and go right back. Maybe revisit the city requiring parking permits. Some homes, like we've heard this evening, have 4 to 8 individual apartments. You figure 2 cars per apartment, plus all the private homes, 2 to 5 cars per household. Maybe we need to limit how many permits are for the parking on the side street. And with that, I greatly thank for your time. Good evening and have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Parsons. I've now gone through my pre-filled out speaker forms. Please raise your hand if you wish to address the council. Yes, ma'am. Good evening, former council member Zinner. It's nice to see you here this evening.
Thank you. Carolyn Zinner, 111 Tim Tamp Court, Havre de Grace.
Welcome.
I had no intention of speaking, so I didn't have any prepared notes, but I want to say that I agree with the last two speakers in terms of approving of the parking plan. I believe that over the years, with the size of vehicles that park diagonally, it's actually a danger when they start to pull out. If you have a car that's smaller, or if you're driving up the street, they don't see you until possibly a collision. So I really do think that that diagonal parking is a safety concern. I don't know if it's been addressed in any of the conversations with the Safety Commission, but I've just felt that for a long time, that with the large pickup trucks and things like that, that many people drive today, that it's not safe. I've also been giving this some thought. I'm not onto social media. I'm not watching any of the comments. I just know that they're out there, and many of them are not positive. My husband was mobility challenged for a number of years, and as a matter of course, I would pull up and I would help him get out of the car. I'd wait, and then I would go look for a parking space. It's just something that I was accustomed to. But I've been thinking about the parking behind the stores. I've been thinking about the lanes, that if there's anything that could be done, making some of those areas either a little bit wider, or I know there's some parking back behind, I don't know if it's on Lodge Lane or if it's behind the Opera House, but there are places, there are pockets. And I like the idea of the employees, if the lot that is being purchased for a parking facility, it's only 1.5 blocks from Washington Street. And if employees could park there to free up other spaces, I think that would also be helpful. And I don't think it's a burden for someone who's going to go into a store and maybe we can be working for 5 to 8 hours a day to be in a parking space like that. If we can maybe possibly run the trolleys more frequently, or even during the week, to help people, almost like a shuttle, as opposed to a people mover, but a shuttle, to get to them either to their workplace or to service handicapped individuals. So, and I don't know what the laws are in terms of indicating handicap spots. I don't know that it's always up to the municipality. It may also be up to the county or the state how many handicap spots you can have. So maybe just deciding that we're going to have 10 handicap spots in a row is not going to work. So I think that if we can come up with some other ways to move people, whether they be employees or whether they be in need of service, I think that should help the problem until everything is done. I don't know what the time frame now is with actual completion of the work. So how long that people might be disadvantaged in some areas than others. But I think it's worth sitting there and planning and deciding maybe other ways to facilitate parking. I think we have enough parking spaces that we can do that, but we just have to be look at the visionaries in some way, I suppose. So they're my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zinner. Anyone else in the audience wish to address the council? Sir. Good evening. Welcome, sir. May you please have your name and address for the record.
Alan Spath, 107 Vigil Circle, Havre de Grace, Bully Rock.
Welcome.
Thank you. Couple things. First, Chief, congratulations. quite an honor, and your staff that was here just represents, not all of them, but I'm sure that you're in the position you're in because of what they do every day. And I thank you, and I thank them for providing us the safety that they do. And I see them around the community. They're very visible, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Right. While I'm passing out kudos, the gentleman in second seat over here, I can't remember his last name, but admin, I believe it is. He answered some questions after the meeting last week for me. I appreciate that. I passed him on a forum next door. A lot of people thanked me. I didn't do anything other than take down some notes that he passed along to me to solve some problems and answer some questions and comments. Now, as a citizen and coming to this meeting, I think the tone was ratcheted back down in the last couple of speakers. I appreciate that. I think that both the mayor and other people may have taken offense to some things, rightfully so, but also we have to own it. We have to talk about it. There's discomfort in the community, citizens in forums, wherever you want, talking on the street. It's not good for the city overall to have this controversy going on and no solutions, or at least more input from the citizens. Whether the citizen gets their way or not, they just want to communicate and talk. And I agree with the gentleman here, Mr. Jim here, who said, you know, ratchet it down, let's talk civil. He doesn't respond to emails. I wouldn't respond to an email that someone threatened me or is talking about a rumor or something like that, and the mayor has to respond to a rumor about going down to Florida, and these things get out of hand. And what I'd like to see from the council is you all are representing a lot of people here in the community. Instead of them reaching out to you, reach out to some of them. I know I voted for this young lady over here, Vicky, this last time, and I appreciate the fact that she's up here representing not only a person of color, a female. I don't see a lot of black-owned businesses downtown, but somebody could get me later on and tell me where they're at, because I like to support them. I like to see this community come together. The police department seemed to work it out, and they're not in the news for violating anybody's civil liberties or anything like that. And I think that we don't need to do that here either, okay? But maybe there can be something, some kind of a meeting set up, an unofficial meeting, maybe with 2 council members or 1 council member and some citizens, and talk about these things without the temperature going up here. And it's a give and take, okay? I know that you got money to spend and it's great, but we also want to do it in such a way that the citizens are not leaving our town, or not bad-mouthing our town, that we don't have to have this conflict all the time. They can disagree with you. That's their privilege. That's their right to do that. And you can disagree with them. And you have the facts to back up some of the things. They don't have some of the facts. They have rumors, they have innuendos, things like that. All I say is let's work together and get this done. It's going forward. We understand that. Work out the solutions that have to be made. I don't think anybody was being short-sighted. Like the one lady said, I took offense to that because I think they're looking at it from their standpoint. You're looking at it from your standpoint. Businesses are looking at, everybody's looking at from a different angle. So we all see different things. What we need to do is do the best we can and try to help everybody and move it forward. And that's all I have to say, and thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir. Who else would like to address the council? Any comments from the council? Council President?
I would like to mention that it takes a lot of audacity to wear a Yankees jacket up to the podium and a shirt. No, I do want to address a lot of the issues going on. I mean, it's something that This is new. This is something that I've never done before. A lot of you guys have never seen done before. I mean, I read an article the other day from Havre de Grace, I think back then it was called The Republican, before it was The Record, where they were complaining about parking back in the 40s and 50s. This has always been an issue. It's something we're trying to improve, and we do want to engage. We do want to engage. We just want civil discourse. We want to be able to talk to people and not have rumor mills, because I can tell you right now, we're going over the budget tonight. You can look in there. There's no airfare allotted in there for him to go down to visit his friend, who he's allowed to do. In that time I've been to Florida, I didn't charge the city for anything. I've never once asked the city to pay for my travel. Nor has anybody else up here, and it's quite disheartening when we have accusations like that made. He's a free man. He's allowed to go down and do what he wants, and I rebuke that comment and that insinuation. That said, there are plenty of ways that we can work together. You know, it was mentioned plenty of times tonight. You know, when we see employees parking on the street in front of the business, it really takes a lot of the weight out of the argument about we don't have anywhere for our patrons to park. That takes a lot of weight out of your argument. When we have the building owners themselves who are renting to our businesses, allowing the tenants to park right in front of the business, you know, overnight, and they're taking up the spots for the patrons as well. You know, that also creates an issue. But ways we can solve that, like on Pennington, there is a 3-hour parking limit. I think it needs to be enforced. I've talked to Director of Administration about that earlier, about maybe making more 3-hour time limit parking downtown and enforcing it. If we have to hire a meter maid or somebody to go down, you know, parking enforcement, we'll give everybody tickets. Is that what we want? I mean, that would hopefully mitigate some of the issue. I don't want to have to hire another city employee at the cost and the post-employment benefits and everything else, but if that's what it takes and what the citizens want to make everybody happy, that might be what we have to look at. As for additional handicap spaces, I fully agree. I think that I've worked at Social Security Disability for 22 years now. I'm very supportive of the disability community. My mother organization within the state is the Division of Rehabilitation Services, and I'm very, very, very well versed in the needs of disabled citizens, and I do fully support the ramped curbing we've talked about and the possible addition of more handicap, trying to make the businesses accessible for our citizens. But with that also comes the wider sidewalks, so we can get a wheelchair down there. People can push a stroller down the sidewalk past some of these trees. You know, we can create, you know, better paths and sidewalks and streets for our citizens. You know, I was talking with Steve and Bill earlier about Director of Administration and the Mayor about Easton. You know, they've got streets down there where it's parking on just one side of the street, and it's parallel parking, and they're thriving down there. They've got 5-star restaurants. We don't have any 5-star restaurants. Do I want one? Sure. I mean, their business, they have no problem getting businesses to take up the spaces downtown. I was just, while you're talking, you guys think I'm up here goofing off? I'm literally Googling downtown Cambridge. What does it look like down there? Berlin. You know, other comparable cities that you know, we can look at. Now, I'll be the first to complain about tourists, okay? I know that Havre de Grace is kind of a touristy town, but I'm driving 6 miles an hour down Washington. You guys understand. But, you know, tourism does bring money downtown, and it does keep a lot of our businesses downtown open. So, yes, sometimes we have to cater a little bit to tourism to make the place, you know, a destination. We can't just think about the citizens downtown, the citizens of Havre de Grace right now. We have to think about everybody and getting the citizens' dollars downtown and the tourist dollars downtown. So we can't just focus solely on, you know, your voters are ones living in town and you're shunning them for the tourists. Well, what happens when these people keep getting older, these citizens keep getting older, and the younger generation is shopping on Amazon and not downtown? They're going to Walmart, and they're used to walking 3 blocks to walk into Walmart, you know? So maybe they don't mind parking over there. Maybe that's the solution. I don't know. But I'm saying is we have to work together to try to bring in some tourism dollars and try to support our Havre de Grace citizens. And again, yes, I did not respond to any emails. There was a couple of them I didn't respond to because I've seen the stuff posted online, and I chose not to engage. I did that on purpose. It was nothing malicious. It wasn't me neglecting anybody. I chose not to engage on purpose, and I will not engage with people who are spurring rumor mills and just throwing odd facts out there that have no basis in truth. As for Mr. Taylor, I think he's doing a fabulous job, and I think he's an exceptional hire for the city. He's doing an exceptional job. I'm amazed, first off, at Mr. Gamatoria's knowledge of Havre de Grace in his many years having lived here. And Mr. Taylor has only been here for a few, and I'd say he's coming pretty close to what Mr. Gamatoria is in his knowledge of downtown and the workings of Havre de Grace, and we are exceptionally fortunate to have him working for us. And with that, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Any other questions from the council? Comments? I'll leave one more final comment. I did speak at the last meeting, my personal thoughts of the direction of the city, but if the question of transparency keeps trying to wield itself in this conversation here, that the whole object of transparency was we knew as a city we had to replace the aging infrastructure downtown. The only reason we got to this place is because before we put it back together, we asked the citizens for input on how they would like to see their city look. And these were called charrettes, and we hired a consultant company. And there were dozens and dozens of meetings over several months. I don't know the number. I've asked my staff today to try to find out how many participants. We'll get a number on that because there were virtual participants as well as live participants. But in my opinion, and I didn't even go to all of them, I mean, it seemed to be hundreds of people. And with all the input, this is the vision that was put together with the people who participated in the charrettes. So we couldn't be any more transparent than that. This isn't, because I think the conversation keeps trying to get in here where this is the mayor and city council pushing this. This is the mayor and city council executing the vision of the charrettes. So just want to leave it at that. I appreciate everybody talking tonight. Appreciate the comments. We're going to move on. We have a hefty agenda here this evening, including some a presentation on comprehensive plan, but there's also a downtown restoration update by our Director of Capital Projects, Mr. Patrick Seipolt, under 11B. If anybody's interested, stick around and see that as well with some updates. What's that? No, we're going to stick to the schedule. Okay, so we're going to move to item 7, appointments. Arts Commission appointment, a reappointment for Ms. Janet Carrick. Councilmember Jones?
Yes, I move that we reappoint Janet Carrick to the Arts Commission.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by the Council President. Questions or comments on the reappointment? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. The reappointment of Ms. Janet Carrick to the Arts Commission carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Item B, Independence Day Commission, appointment of Ms. Carolyn Zinner. Councilmember Booker.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. I move to appoint former council member Carolyn Zinner to the Independence Day Commission.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Booker, seconded by Councilmember Robertson. This is for the appointment of Ms. Carolyn Zinner to the Independence Day Commission. Questions or comments?
I'll say something, Mr. Mayor.
Council President.
I'm glad Carolyn is finding something to take care of her time now that she's off of council. And I think that the Independence Commission couldn't ask for a better person with more zeal for Havre de Grace and our downtown independence and you know, what we want it to become than Ms. Carolyn Zinner. She's done a wonderful job up on council. I know she'll do an exceptional job on the commission.
Thank you, Council President. And I just want to say that Councilmember Zinner was the council liaison to the Independence Day Commission and did such a wonderful job that the members of the commission really wanted her to stick around. So thank you for your service as a council member, and thank you for the service you're about to do as Citizen Zinner. So, and you get to work with Councilmember Booker now, who's now taking your place as the council liaison. So you two will have fun together. So, all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The appointment of Ms. Carolyn Zinner to the Independent State Commission is approved 5-0 in the affirmative. Ms. Janet Carrick was a reappointment, but Mrs. Zinner is a new appointment. So please join me, Ms. Zinner, for the oath of office. All right, ready? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, you ready for this? All right. People want to call you Councilmember Zinner. All right, Mrs. Zinner, I'm going to say the word I. When I say the word I, please repeat after me and say your name. And please raise your right hand. I
I, Carolyn Zinner,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will fulfill
fulfill
the requirement
the requirement
of the office I'm about to assume,
of the office I'm about to assume,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States, that I'll be faithful, bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland,
state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof.
and laws thereof,
I will faithfully and impartially,
I'll faithfully and impartially,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
without fear of favor,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of
as a member of
Independent State Commission,
Independent State Commission,
City of Havre de Grace, to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities. And I'm all
Congratulations.
dressed up.
Red, white, and blue. I'm telling you, they would be proud of you
I got
tonight.
more. Hello, everyone.
I think you're ready. Well, the timing couldn't be better. It's almost.
We need volunteers. But Wednesday night, get a t-shirt.
We need
Sign up.
Step over here real quick. Sign here. Sign your name here.
Page 2.
Okay, as we go through the agenda this evening, item 9 is recognitions. This evening we have no recognitions. Item 10, proclamations. This evening we have no proclamations, which takes us to item 11, which will be presentations. And we do have 2 presentations this evening. And the first one is going to be on the comprehensive plan update, the city comprehensive plan update. It's, we'll bring a member of the planning commission. Bonnie's not here, right? Okay, well then proudly call up Miss Diane Clare.
We're going to talk about Envision Havre de Grace. This is the 2023 Comprehensive Plan Midpoint Review. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to give an update on the 2023 Comprehensive Plan to let you know where we are in the process. The plan is being created through a partnership between the Planning Commission and the Planning Department. I want to thank Volney Ford, Planning Commission Chair, who couldn't be here tonight, Planning Commission members, Tim Boursier, Planning Department Director, Eric Lawrence in the Planning Department as well for all the work that has been done to date. I also want to thank Mari Thaxton and Ann Fulham for their professional expertise for GIS mapping and document layout. We have a great graphics team. The plan consists of 13 chapters, plus a preamble and supporting resources like the census data and housing data. We are halfway there. 6 chapters of content is drafted. The preamble and supporting resources are completed. Maps are being created as needed for chapters. And all this content is based on the land use article requirements and our own priorities like sustainable communities. Here's the list of the 13 chapters. You can read them for yourselves. The ones in dark arrows are in front are those that are already drafted, and those with light arrows are chapters in process. Where we've been. We started this effort last March with the development of 7 story maps for public input. The story maps went live September 1st in 2022, and surveys were opened until the end of January 2023, which was 5 months for community input. We had some great public comment during that time. The planning commissions in the meantime are determining the goals and actions for each of the chapters, and all the content to date is available on the city's webpage. On a city's webpage, it's an in-progress 2023 comprehensive plan, Envision Havre de Grace. You can look it up and see all the chapters. You can see the story maps. You can see all the public comment that was received in the words, in the way the comments were made, and it's very, very helpful. This is under the heading of the planning department on the city's main website. This was what the Envision Havre de Grace story map content page looked like with all the 7 story maps. You can still click on all this material for viewing. You just can't participate in the surveys any longer. But they were pretty interesting to check out. As far as public feedback, we had 102 surveys completed, and each story map had anywhere from 3 to 5 questions. And we had close to 5,000 views before the close of the surveys in January. We had a lot of discrete comments from the public, but we also had trends. What people want to see are walkways, bikeways, and sidewalks. Improving US 40 and preserving history featured heavily. Respondents embraced the creative side and diversity of the community, and naturally the issue of hospital and healthcare came up. If you want to see the full complement of comments, as I mentioned, there is a full link on the website, so you can see everything that was sent in. A little backdrop for the plan. This map shows annexations since 1990, but specifically since 1998, there's a dotted line, black line page break. So that's 25 years. That's when we started really annexing large tracts of land, over 1,600 acres in that time frame. We have grown geographically by 75% in that 25 years, which means we've almost doubled our geographic area. This plan, like all comprehensive plans, is a policy for directing growth. This includes the build-out of neighborhoods in process like Bully Rock, Greenway Farms, Zion Hill Estates, and others, commercial mixed uses along US 40, the mixed office employment, or MOE, at I-95, and infill in the older portions of Havre de Grace in the historic downtown. This is a map of the comprehensive plan areas, which shows the relationship of revitalization with developing and future growth areas. It also shows the vast surrounding open space that we have. It outlines the general policy of the comprehensive plan, which is guided by state smart growth principles, where you focus development around existing communities where infrastructure and road systems are already located. This is a complementary map labeling the development areas. I wanted to point out that this planning boundary, just for your information, is reduced from the 2010 plan. The focus is on the successful build-out of areas that we've already annexed and where we can extend water and sewer to serve growth. In addition to that, this is a map of our water distribution boundary from a study by GHD Engineering. This explains why we're actually bringing the line back a little bit. And this is a study that was done in January 2021. The reduced planning boundary in the past, it went as far as Robin Hood Road and Earlton Road, which formed a natural break. But the GHD hydraulic model brought the line back, so we took those areas out to really focus on the areas that have already been annexed. And here is a land use plan map that shows greater intensity of land use, or the general intensity of land uses, connections like bikeways. Unfortunately, this map really doesn't show up too well on the screen right now, but it shows bikeway connections and pedestrian linkages throughout town. The focus is really on the city being one community, not downtown or up on the hill or Bully Rock, but one full community. Oops, yeah. This map is priority funding areas map, and just for your information, it's a governing policy for Maryland to encourage and incentivize growth around existing communities and municipalities. This is where growth can be served by water and sewer connections and has residential densities greater than 3.5 units per acre. There are also incentives for neighborhood revitalization and infrastructure, among other things. The main idea of this plan is really to serve the areas already annexed into the city. I'll go into a couple of my favorite maps. This one is the municipal growth element, where it shows the relationship of the city with the Harford County's development envelope and the rural areas to the north on the other side of I-95. We're in an interesting situation. We have major transportation routes, but also have vast areas of protected lands like the lower Susquehanna or the lower Deer Creek Valley rural legacy area as soon as you cross over I-95. And the Oakington Peninsula just south of the city, which I believe has 1,400 acres of protected open space. I would like to also see areas between Havre de Grace and Aberdeen along the Robin Hood Road corridor as a green buffer, just because it's such a beautiful roadway and its stream valleys need to be protected. And it would be great just to have a level of distinction between the two municipalities to keep a sense of place. In addition, this is a sustainability map as another example. Sustainable areas mean many things, but in the state of Maryland, it offers specific funding for revitalization areas. And we have 7 revitalization areas that were mapped as far back as the 1996 comprehensive plan, so we continue to build on that idea. And the revitalization areas are listed as part of the legend industrial areas, the Old Town, for instance, Revolution Street corridor, US 40. But sustainability is more than that. This is a picture, an aerial photo of the rooftop solar of our new middle school, high school complex. And it's really pretty amazing, actually. It looks like modern art. We also have our own connection. This is a picture of the ground array, the solar array at Perryman, where the city entered into a 20-year contract with Constellation for all city-owned buildings. And who doesn't love the electric trolleys, the cars, and the EV stations that remind us of our focus on sustainability here in Havre de Grace. I have a few slides here to celebrate our environment, where the Susquehanna becomes the Chesapeake Bay. This is a slide from one of the story map title pages. And then we have maps, for instance, for all the different environmental features that we have here in Havre de Grace that we have to showcase and map. We also have a whole section on multimodal transportation, which is a key feature and benefit of the area that we need to capitalize on. Images of trails, for instance. We'll have a bridge project in the near future. And also, we have a full chapter on economic development, as well as recognition of tourism and as a major driver of commercial activity here, as well as a growing art scene. We are developing this plan around 7 visions. These are a healthy community, an inclusive community, a vibrant, connected community, an essential cultural and historic hub, a cohesive, human-built environment, green, more sustainable community, and a fiscally sound government. I hope you agree with these concepts or visions as a way of thinking about a vibrant Havre de Grace, what we are and what we want to be. I want to leave you with one final thought. This is a quote that I received in an email a couple of weeks ago, and I loved it. It was totally unsolicited, and I think it sums up what we are trying to do here. It was from Bruce Kinzinger, co-chair of Bike Hartford, who is also a medical doctor, and I thought it was great. What we build will impact how we live, and how we live will impact our well-being. Again, if anybody wants to see any of the content of stuff put together to date, any of the maps, the chapters, the public input, it's all right here. Please stay tuned in. Love to hear comments back and get people's input, but I just want you to be aware of what you have access to, and also the public has access to as we continue through this process. And thank you very much for your time. Anybody have any questions?
Diane, well, first of all, thank you very much for all that work for this presentation. Council, any comments from Ms. Claire? Yes.
Ms. Claire, thank you so much for all the efforts that you have put forward, especially reaching out and engaging the community to respond. It's amazing that over 5,000 views were submitted or, collected, and I know that we all had an opportunity to look at that. You've been working on this for at least 2 years, and I know that being a part of the opportunity on the Planning Commission, that I have seen it more in depth. So I just want to thank you for all that you're doing, and for having open sessions for the public to come in and be a part of the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Shenanigans. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Boger?
Yeah, just real quick. Diane, first of all, fantastic presentation. You put so much work into that. It's very comprehensive. I like that you put the webpage up there so the citizens can actually go to it, and because it's kind of small on the screen, but
Yeah,
people can actually go to it, download it, and take a look at it. And I also love the expansion in the southern part, down like towards Oakington Road area, down in that area that's as well represented. So I appreciate that. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Boger. Councilmember Jones?
Thank you so much for that presentation. That was really, really exciting to see.
Thank you.
I can't wait to look at, I'm going to go to the link and look at it a little more in depth. I am new to the council, so forgive me of this question. I don't know the answer. I'm giving myself grace on not knowing things. What is the next step now that this is out? What do you plan to do next?
We have more chapters to complete, so we're about halfway there. This is a really great opportunity for a midpoint review, and just keep building the chapters. So we have 7 more chapters, but a lot of the other material is rounded out already. It's jamming to continue to write.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So you have continued engagement with the community?
It's Planning Commission driven, so we have public work sessions. They're open to the public, but we're in work session mode, and it's just a building of the process. The planning department is developing the content by individual chapters, and each chapter is really an individual. It's a plan alone, a standalone plan by itself. So this is a really, really involved process. I really would love to have people come in and read what's there, but we're going to continue to write and jam through the summer with early fall delivery.
Okay, great. Thank you. Fantastic. Good job.
Thank you.
Good question.
Please come in and see us in the planning department. Yeah, love to.
Councilmember Robertson?
Yeah, again, I just want to echo everybody. Thank you, Diane, for all that you do for the city.
Thanks.
It never goes unnoticed. And just one question, would you have a ballpark on the number of homes that are still to be developed, excluding the MOE area?
We have a 20-year view. We're required by the state of Maryland to have growth capacity for the next 20 years, and I think the number is 1685 is what we plan for in full build-out. And that's in the municipal growth chapter, so don't quote me on that from the dais or from standing here at the podium
it's on
right
the
now.
record.
But that's actually was calculated, and as far as trying to outline infill in the downtown, that does not include potential hospital redevelopment, but all of the potential development capacity with the build-out of the growth areas that are already on the books.
And would that include the MOE then, off of
No,
95?
the MOE is zoned differently. It doesn't include residential. And that was built specifically to try to engage for an interesting, well-crafted office park, but commercial area, and then it was turned, the hospital was going to go there, and there's a whole campus-like setting built into that, but it doesn't include residential at this point, because it's an interchange, and it's a really great asset as an interchange piece of property, so. But does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, oh, no problem.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson.
Yeah,
Councilmember-
thanks for the questions.
Council President?
Hi, Dan. Everybody else talked, so I figured I had to as well. So 1,600 plus houses.
Mhm.
Do we know if the county is formulating a plan to help address the overcrowding in the schools?
Well, overcrowding in schools, yes. They ended up this past year redistricting. Some of it had to do with Havre de Grace and the pressure redistricting for the secondary schools. It did not affect Havre de Grace greatly, and this is covered in the community facilities chapter. They will be coming back to the issue of redistricting, rebalancing enrollment, I believe in the 2026-2027 school year for elementary students. Because there is such an issue with residential housing in this area.
I know that in previous iterations of the comprehensive plan from the county and the school system, that like Greenway Farms, they were supposed to go towards Aberdeen and towards Roy Williams.
Right.
And that's something that keeps on getting pushed off, and there was big uproar this year over the redistricting and keeping them, and whether or not they would end up as Havre de Grace students. And I know it's a big issue that people are concerned about, and unfortunately they build the schools to current capacity. They don't
Yes.
have the foresight. I don't know if they're just trying to save a buck, but if I know that I'm going 12 miles, I'm going to put 14 miles worth of gas in my car versus 12, and I know that I want to have capacity in case I'm going a little further, kind of thing. If you understand, I'm an analogy guy. If I know that we're going to put 1,600 more houses in the community, I want to have a plan for, to improve the schools, and I think that's short-sighted on the school board side, but we did pass our sister ordinance, the adequate public facilities before, but there's not much we can do about the schools. We can lobby, get out there and talk to your District F representative and see what we can do, talk to the school board, and hopefully we can get something besides, mobile units out there, but thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
Diane, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. Thank you. Okay, next I'd like to call up our Director of Capital Projects, Mr. Patrick Seipolt, with the update on the downtown restoration. Good evening, Mr. Seipolt.
Good evening, Mayor, distinguished members of council, my colleagues, fellow directors, and citizens of Havre de Grace. I was here approximately 3 months ago to talk about where we were at, and so some of what I may say could be repetitive, but I want to make sure the message is being heard loud and clear with all of our citizens. So this project, let's see, there you go, is the genesis from the funding by the American Rescue Plan Act that we refer to as ARPA. Its primary purpose is to repair or replace our downtown infrastructure, which includes our water, our sewer, our storm drains, our sidewalks, our lighting, and our trees. We began this journey approximately 18 months ago, and as you all know, BGE recently completed the replacement of their natural gas distribution system throughout the downtown area. They completed their 5th phase this past winter of a multi-phase program encompassing several years. So given the size and complexity of this project, we, the city, established milestones or phases from which to manage and reevaluate this project. The first milestone was to canvass our citizens and get their feedback as to what they wanted to include. And what you see is a dateline of the reach outs and some of the work that had gone on in our first milestone, which was to garnish their comments. So the city then engaged Tool Design to guide us through the charrettes process that the mayor alluded to earlier tonight and develop a concept. The charrettes, as most of us realized, were by far the largest overall public event this city in our history. The work sessions were 2 separate weeks over a span of about a month and a half. It was more than 40 hours of our citizens working with leads from tool design, sitting down and bouncing ideas off of each other so they could garnish a concept. After that, and all of those meetings were open to the public. You would sign up, pick a time slot that would work best for you, and then accompany. And we actually had to set up additional time slots because the demand was so great. There's some of the advertisement that we'd put on our social media sites. At the end of that, we had a 2-hour public presentation confirming the discovery, so what came of all that charrettes. They then, Tool then took feedback again from citizens and then prepared another 2-hour public presentation to present the final dispensation or the final consensus. What did we all come up with that would work for our downtown? So the project update I'm presenting to you is the execution of that vision that was garnished from those community meetings. Understandably, every idea could not be incorporated. However, the consensus is represented in the restoration plans, and that's the genesis of this publication. It also can be found on our website. The purpose of this project is to create open, walkable, accessible, and shared use spaces to include wider sidewalks, a healthy and consistent tree canopy, curbless streets, linear parks, and a small plaza. The second milestone was to generate a preliminary design. Again, we solicited and garnished Tool Design to perform that work for us. That work entailed an existing conditions investigation, a topographic survey, subsurface utility engineering, locating where everything was, underground as well as above ground. And trust me, in a town over 200 years old, there's a lot of dead bodies out there. Preliminary environmental review services, such as natural and cultural assessments, all of our historic properties, any archaeological areas of interest that we needed to be aware of, and then any permitting requirements to accommodate those. And then also we had the Maryland Department of the Environment, which we started that off with a pre-site application. In addition, we completed our 30% design for our Priority 1 area. Now, through all this process, we're looking at cost. We're looking, and this is what this is the life cycle of a project, this project in particular. And that one slide there shows where we were, okay? This is where we are today. And what you'll see is we're migrating from design, and we're 100% now into engineering. So we've taken a vision, we've taken a dream, and we're turning it into a reality, is what we're about. And this is now the third component of this multi-phase project. Keeping in mind, each phase that has gone on prior to this does not get repeated, but the second phase builds upon the first. The third phase that we're about to enter into builds upon the second. So nothing has to be, there's no redundancy and duplication of effort. So this next milestone is the completion of the engineering plans and the generation of these construction documents so that we can take it out and go to bid and break ground and get started. So currently there are 3 engineering firms that we have reached out to and have expressed interest in seeing this project to fruition. Those proposals will be in by the end of this week, and a plan to have in consultation with my cohort, Ben Moderano, and of course our procurement officer, Ms. Michelle Widman, have a contract awarded next week so we can move forward. The original scope has been changed, and so the scope and design has altered. Again, as I said, it's somewhat cost by, it's driven by cost as well as the physical application of this project and staying within budget constraints. And I will say this with that the city is actively pursuing some land acquisition. And as it stands today, we will yield a net gain of parking spaces in the restoration area. We currently have a verbal commitment from a private landowner, and we are drawing up the necessary documents to finalize that agreement. I anticipate completion of the construction documents this fall, with construction beginning shortly thereafter. The scheduling of work, which I know is a big concern for our downtown, will take into account our downtown businesses, and there will be a great deal of back and forth conversation between myself and those businesses, as we'll take every measure, I will take every measure to minimize the impact to them while completing the project, with some understanding there will be disruption. It's hard to take up a street without someone being a little bit, without there being a pothole that we may have to navigate around, right? So with that, I'll open the floor to questions.
Councilman
Yes,
Robertson.
Patrick, I appreciate seeing you again. I know that you presented to EDAB a couple months ago, so it was very positive and appreciated, as always. Just a few questions. So with the existing trees, is the thought, like, do they need to be removed to replace the pipes below the ground, or are they being removed to make way for the new design?
The trees need to be removed because they've outgrown they're not the right tree, as was mentioned earlier tonight. They really aren't the right species of tree for that location. As you see, they're very narrow. They grow straight up now because you have to trim to get headroom around the sidewalks and the streets. They have, their useful life is over as it relates to where they were in the city. Also, if you notice, they've taken quite a toll on the sidewalks. And several of our laterals, which are pipes that go from the buildings, they run perpendicular to the streets to go out to the mains. They've taken their toll on those from time to time as well.
And when the new trees are planted in the plant boxes, I mean, talk to me like I don't know about trees, because I don't. Are they going to be semi-mature, or are they going to be like little sprouts? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, so again, it depends on the species, and they talk about gauges being the circumference of the trunk. So there'll be trees of what I call, I guess, moderate caliber, or a caliber of a trunk, which is also another term to speak about the size of a tree. So there'll be moderate caliber, taking into effect how fast the tree may grow, that species, and its location. I think we will see will realize a tree canopy early in the transplant. In other words, we'll get trees that are, well, they wouldn't be juveniles, but they won't be fully mature yet.
Okay, and I asked that strictly for aesthetics purposes. Because
no Charlie Brown Christmas trees will be used in our streetscape.
Well, I'm just looking forward, to the lighting and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
So I know I asked Tool Design when they were here in January, and I asked in our SIR meeting as well, but I'll ask again. So the plan is going down what's called the civic spine, down Pennington to Washington. Why not, instead of going down Pennington, go all the rest of the way up St. John? So is there an infrastructure need that's greater on Pennington than on St. John Street?
So some of the scope changing that we were talking about, that I alluded to, will be first focused on the 2 blocks of North Washington and predicated upon how we do with our funding, and we're doing some value engineering with that, we then wish to, or we have elected then to proceed down St. John's.
Is the 5.1 that's currently in the budget going to be enough? Do you believe?
Well, currently, we have 5.6 still remaining. I'm a guy, the glass is always half full. And it's really limited to, what would I call it? All the nuances and what we want to add to it. I think as some of the other projects that I'm engaged with come to a close, there will be some funds that may be available. Sometimes we have overruns, sometimes we have some windfalls. So some of those funds may be able to be redirected towards it. So I don't know exactly if 5.6 will do it. But if most people, well, I can tell you, the Director of Administration knows, as maybe the mayor, I spend money like it's my own. So it's pretty tight. So, and I keep it that way. And sometimes I'm a real curmudgeon about that. Hence, I can't afford razors. But no, I say that to say we'll take it as far as we can take it. And then I might have to come back to the council and ask for guidance on how we go from there.
So it's possible that this may elapse into the following budget year, right?
Oh, I don't see this being completed in a 12-month cycle.
Roger. Okay. And can you, I guess, you alluded to a net gain in spaces with the additional property being purchased. Can you just remind me on Washington Street, turning all those spots into parallel spots, what would be the net loss with that?
So it's approximately 36, I believe. I'll have to go back.
Just on Washington?
On Washington itself, that could be lost, but there'll be a pickup with the other lot and the other lot purchase.
Roger that. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Any other questions from council? Councilmember Boger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just to be clear, so the contract, so we talked about an award of a contract, but that's the engineering, that's the new engineering contract, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so, and then we're not going to continue on with tool design. So I understand maybe there are some efficiencies and opportunities with another institution, another company?
We have not chosen to go with tool design yet, but we haven't chosen to close the door on them either. What I'm saying is I have a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that each step that I take, I'm spending my monies in the right fashion. Because what some of us may know, I mean, not just here, but through everyday life experiences, if someone feels that they are the only game in town, all of a sudden the numbers change a little bit. So it's about keeping everyone honest, and engineering is what would I call more of a pure science as opposed to an intrinsic, like maybe design might be. And this is not any condescending comments regarding tool design. I don't know of another firm that could have pulled off the charrettes as successfully as they did. I think their team was remarkable. The 30% that we received from them, like I had said, is foundation work that we don't have to go back and redo. It's solid, we can go from there. And I think everyone in this room that participated in those probably felt like they were heard, and they had a pretty clear understanding of where we were going during that process. So I hope that answered your question. But when it comes to pure engineering, so to speak, we also have relationships with other engineering firms as well, solid working relationships. So it's only good, to me, it's good common sense that we go ahead and invite them to consider doing this work. And they also have that experience working with us from the past. They know our town.
Director Seifeld, I appreciate the response to that. And always, you're a consummate curmudgeon when it comes to funds, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Boger. Any other questions from the council? Councilmember Robertson.
Sorry. Patrick, aren't you and Tim are both PEs, right?
No, Tim is a PE.
Okay. So,
Just
I mean,
a
that's
P
an
for
asset.
Patrick.
I'm sorry?
I'm just a P for Patrick.
Oh, you're PS.
No, I have a master's in business. I don't,
No, so I knew that Tim was, and I just feel like the citizens should be aware that that's also a pretty good asset for the city on many of the projects that we're doing between the bond funding and the revitalization plan.
I have an engineering background, and if people want to see my resume and offer me a position, I'll be happy to share it with them. But it spent a lot of years in project management, from the days of a wee lad working for Cargill out in Arkansas and Delaware, Texas and Missouri, to having my own business, building homes, to working here, starting as a code enforcement officer, and right on up. And when I was hired by Mr. Newby at the time, he says, "You're overqualified for what you're doing." And I said, "Sir, I plan to take your job one day." And which caused him to take a step back. But as the mayor and director of administration will attest, I had it one time and enjoyed it. And I was also glad to see Steve take it over. So yeah, we have a good team. We have a good team, and not just ourselves. EJ, the entire DPW staff. I mean, you know, we come up with ideas. It's those people that make it work. And who knows it better than the guys and gals that turn the wrenches every day, right? Who knows it better? So.
Well, thank you for all that you and EJ do, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman Robertson. Patrick, finally, again, thank you for putting this together, and we appreciate the periodic updates on the downtown restoration project. And yeah, you're right. For a lot of people who don't know, you know, Mr. Seipel was the director of administration for over 6 years, and his office was right next to mine. And it almost seemed like we have so many things going on in the city, so many projects over the last 8 years, that Patrick was out of the office more than in the office. And when we received the ARP money, it made sense that the best project manager I know is Patrick. So, and then Mr. Gamatori graciously stepped up to be the director of administration. And like I say, we did some shuffling around, but we got probably the best team we've ever had right now in Havre de Grace, overseeing this project and the city day-to-day basis. So Patrick, I appreciate all you're doing. Like I said, it's I mean, not only are you dealing with you know, the little bit of the Water Street project, overseeing that. It's a lot, but a lot of good stuff. A lot of good things happening, and I tell people all the time the best is yet to come. So Patrick, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion at this time that we take a short recess for a bathroom break, maybe 10 minutes.
Council President requested a short recess for 10 minutes for a bathroom break. Everybody all agree? Okay, we're going to recess this meeting for 10 minutes. The time is 8:58. We'll be back at 9:10. Okay, welcome back to time. We're resuming the June 20th City Council meeting. We took a brief recess, and it's 9:16 now. And so we're going to move into item 12, which is resolutions. We have a couple calendar resolutions on this evening's agenda. And item A, calendar resolution concerning a license agreement. Councilmember Shanegas, the chair of the planning committee.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I move to introduce calendar resolution concerning approving a license agreement for a sign in the city right-of-way at 114 North Union Avenue.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Shanegas. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Second by Councilmember Robertson.
You're good. You're so fast.
This is a motion to introduce a counter resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce the counter resolution concerning improving a license agreement for a sign in a right-of-way at 114 North Union Avenue is approved 5-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be resolution 2023-9, a resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to sections 33 and 34 of the City Charter and the Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, for approval of a license agreement for the replacement of a sign at the northwest corner of the North Union Avenue and Congress Avenue right-of-way, and to authorize the mayor to execute such a license. Council, I have a motion to adopt resolution 2023-09.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by the council president, seconded by Councilmember Boker. Questions or comments? Councilmember Shanegas.
Thank you, Mayor. This beautiful sign from St. John's Episcopal Church will add a special glimmer of welcome to the church, and it will only acquire just a $50 administration fee and will allow the church to have that license agreement until December 26. Thank you, Mayor. 2026.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Shanegas. Any other questions or comments from council? Council, I'm going to do a roll call vote on calendar resolution 2023-09. Councilmember Boker.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Jones.
Yes.
Councilmember Shanegas.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, City Council calendar resolution 2023-09 is approved. A lot of clapping tonight.
Now, if you've been here for a while, you know that we need some prayer. So pray for us over there at St. John's, will you? Thank you.
You are on the prayer list every Sunday to City Council and the mayor.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you. You both have a good evening. Thank you very much. Item B, counter resolution for another license agreement. Back to Councilmember Shanegas.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, I move to introduce calendar resolution concerning approving a license agreement for a sign in the city right-of-way at Weber Street Extended.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Shanegas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Robertson. This is a motion to introduce counter resolution on introduction, motion to adopt a resolution on introduction. Questions or comments on the introduction of the resolution? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce counter resolution passes 5-0 in the affirmative. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to Sections 33 and 34 of the City Charter and the Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, for approval of a license agreement for the replacement of a sign at the northwest corner of Seneca Avenue and Weber Street, extended right-of-way, and to authorize the mayor to execute such a license. And by the way, Council, I'm sorry, the number of this resolution is going to be 2023-10. This is Resolution 2023-10. So do I have a motion to adopt 2023-10.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Booker, seconded by the Council President. Questions or comments? Councilmember Shenanigans?
Yes, I would like to say that this addition to the Salvation Army's site will make a wonderful way for citizens to know that the Salvation Army is located down at the rural end of Weber Street. Their previous sign was down low to the ground. You could barely see it. Now it will be elevated, and it will welcome visitors, and they'll be able to find their way to the Salvation Army. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Shenanigans. Any other questions or comments from the council? All right, fair enough. Council will do a roll call vote on 2023-10. Councilmember Shenanigans?
Yes.
Councilmember Boger?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, City Council Calendar Resolution 2023-10 is adopted. Item C, calendar resolution concerning establishing a Maryland Women Veteran Memorial. And we will send this one to Councilmember Boger.
Mayor Martin, thank you. Mayor Martin, Council, I move to introduce a calendar resolution concerning the establishment of a Maryland Women's Veteran Memorial.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Boger, seconded by Councilmember Robertson. This is a motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce a resolution concerning establishing a Women's Veteran Memorial carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be known as City Council Resolution 2023-11, 2023-11. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and sections 33 and 34 of the city charter to establish a Maryland Women's Veteran Memorial in the city of Havre de Grace. Council, to have a motion to adopt 2023-11.
So moved.
Second.
Motion. Council President moved and Councilmember Shenanigans seconded. Questions or comments? Council President?
I'm sorry. I was going to let Johnny speak first. I shouldn't steal his thunder.
Oh, no. Well, first of all, I'm actually honored to introduce this, and especially the to kind of partnership with the state of Maryland as well, and to this memorial, and actually pay tribute to the women veterans. You know, oftentimes we think of personnel, you know, in uniform as being, you know, just male, right? And so this actually honors the hundreds of thousands of females also in uniform as well. So no, I appreciate Council President actually giving this to me tonight so I can make the introduction. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council President?
Can I defer to the Director of Administration to give a summary of the experience you had when people came from the state?
Yes, sir. Mr. Rachinsky made arrangements to have the group come in. They were traveling throughout the state looking for various sites. And I think they had their site pretty much picked out before they got here. And we changed their mind. So we took them to multiple locations throughout the city. They liked each one, but in particular, they really liked the North Park area. So I think that's about where we're gonna land, hopefully. For us, they still have to make the decision. They have to go back to their board. So it's possible it won't come here, but we did make a very good impression.
So you previously said that there were 3 cities in the running. Was that or?
There's 3 or 4.
I believe it was 3.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. I know one down in St. Mary's, I believe, was one.
Sykesville.
Yes, Sykesville was the other.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, it's still under my comments. I think with the Alfred Hilton Memorial we have and the recognition of the women's suffrage down in the park, and then the beautiful monument, which just this week had the anniversary from 2018, that Councilman Boker was able to get here in town for the Gold Star Memorial. You know, I don't see how they could pick somebody else. Sure.
I want to speak quickly on this. Not quickly, but it's just a few comments. I'm not being timed. Anyway, so Director of Administration, Mr. Gamatoria, and my senior aide, Adam Rosinski and Randy Taylor, welcomed this committee delegation to our city the other week. I want everyone to realize that this is a state monument that we're being considered for. It's my understanding that Governor Hogan authorized this committee to be formed to execute the placement of a monument for its sole purpose of recognizing women in uniform who served our country. And so they're going around the state looking at different areas. And from what we gathered, of course, they couldn't commit to anything, but what we gathered, like, we feel like they were pretty blown away by what they saw in Havre de Grace, and rightly so. The city of Havre de Grace has a lot of artwork, a lot of monuments dedicated to people who serve community and serve our country in various ways. So this report will go back to Governor Moore, is what they told us. They may recommend our city to be the place. My gut tells me I think they will. Which is why we would like this resolution to be voted on this evening, so we can turn around and recommunicate with that committee that should you choose Havre de Grace to be the placement of this big state memorial monument, that our council our city's receptive to it, and we agree, and we hope you make the decision. So we don't know the funding behind it, there's no design yet made with this monument. This is basically tonight just saying that recognizing a committee has been formed by the previous governor, and the current governor will have to receive the recommendation and then move forward with funding and the design work. So this could be a couple years down the road, but if the city of Havre de Grace is selected, I'm very excited about it because, again, this is a state memorial. This would be a very significant project. So, again, this resolution is basically saying the city of Havre de Grace says we welcome that. Any further questions? Okay, roll call vote on Resolution 2023-11. Councilmember Shanegas?
Yes.
Councilmember Boker?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, City Council Resolution 2023-11 is approved by council.
Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Yep. At the agreement of the council, there was 2 typographical errors that we found. And if council doesn't mind, we'll repair those just as a friendly amendment prior to doing the actual proclamation.
I approve the proofreading.
Pardon me?
Said I approve the proofreading.
Thank you. Mr. Boker actually brought it to our attention.
I was going to say,
Thank you.
Johnny, if you want to read those and offer a friendly amendment.
Absolutely, no, I can read it. So this is in the resolution 2023-11, whereas the city maintains and is home to several war memorials, including the War Memorial at Tidings Park and the Gold Star Families Memorial, including the word families, located at Concord Point Park, and a memorial dedicated to the Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, Alfred B. Hilton, located at David Craig Park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, we're going to move on to, we're all good? Okay.
Good. Thank you.
We're going to move on to item 13 tonight, which is ordinances. And first ordinance to be introduced be ordinance 1109 concerning establishing the city budget. And for the introduction of that ordinance, we'll hand it off to the chair of the Finance Committee, Budget Finance Committee, Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, I move to introduce on second reading ordinance 1109 concerning the FY24 budget.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Shanegas. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance on second reading. Questions or comments on the introduction of the ordinance? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance 1109 on second reading carries 5-0 in the affirmative. 1109, an ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace by the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, Section 37 of Havre de Grace City Charter, for the purpose of establishing the city budget for fiscal year 2024 by designating the annual projection of anticipated revenues and proposed authorized expenses for the city of Havre de Grace for fiscal year 2024. Council, I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1109 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Council President, second by Councilmember Robertson. Questions or comments? Okay, council will do a roll call vote. Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Shanegas?
Yes.
Councilmember Boker?
Yes.
Council President Ringsager?
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson?
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, ordinance 1109 concerning establishing the city budget for FY 2024 is adopted on second reading. Thank you very much, council. Item B, ordinance concerning an agreement with the Havre de Grace Green Team, composting. Councilmember Boyer's not here this evening. Council President, would you mind doing the introduction?
Sir, I move to introduce an ordinance concerning an agreement with the Havre de Grace Green Team for composting for first reading.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilmember Shanegas. Ordinance concerning an agreement with Havre de Grace Green Team. This is for the introduction of the ordinance. This is for the introduction of the ordinance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance on first reading carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be known as ordinance. Shoot. Got a number written down there, Steve?
It's 1112.
1112.
1112, thank you.
That's right.
Sorry, I was missing that. Okay, council, this will be ordinance 1112, an ordinance by the mayor and city council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to enter into an agreement with the Havre de Grace Green Team, LTD, as it relates to composting collection with Garrity Renewables, LLC, on city property. Council, I have a motion to approve ordinance 1112 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Council President, seconded by Councilmember Jones. Sorry, she beat you to it.
Hey.
Questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Sir.
This is a recurring ordinance. It's required every year. We're hoping to stretch that out in a later date. But it allows for the Green Team to have the composting down at Hutchins Park.
Thank you very much, Council President. Any further questions or comments? Okay, this is a ordinance for first reading, 1112. I'm going to do a roll call. Councilmember Robertson?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Shanegas?
Yes.
Councilmember Boger?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, City Council Ordinance 1112 is adopted on first reading. And Council President, when would you like to have the public hearing?
How about July 3rd?
July 3rd, all right. Next council meeting, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, next council meeting, July 3rd at 7 o'clock preceding the regularly scheduled council meeting. We'll have a public hearing on ordinance 1112. Thank you. All right, we will go on to item number 14, old business. There is a counter resolution concerning a license agreement for encroachment onto the city right-of-way of 569 Lewis Street. It was tabled, and it's under old business. Is there any motion to untable it?
Mayor, at this time, Council Planning Committee and Planning Department are still under discussion, and we would like to keep it tabled at this time.
Okay, no motion on table, so we'll leave it under old business. Okay, we will go to item 15, new business, which is special events. We have two items here, and we'll hand it off to the Director of Administration, Mr. Gamatori.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first special event council you have this evening is the Summer Jam. That is sponsored by the Havre de Grace Housing Authority. Nikki Biggs is the contact person. The event occurs up at the Somerset Manor neighborhood. It will be on the 24th, setup will be at 8 a.m. The event starts at 12, ends at 4, cleanup at 5. This basically is requesting a road closure of that area. This is an annual event that's very well attended, sponsored in part by the Chief of Police and the Havre de Grace Police Department, and the Susquehanna Hose Company attends, the ambulance corps and so forth, so it's a great neighborhood event. The costing sheet is at the end of the packet, and that's it for this one, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gambatoria. Council, I have a motion to approve Summer Jam.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion by Councilmember Booker, and it's seconded by Councilmember Schnagus. Questions or comments?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Summer Jam, June 24, 2023, from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock at the Havre de Grace Housing Authority, Somerset Manor, is approved. 5-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gambatoria.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The second event application is Movies in the Park, sponsored by Restore Church. On-site contact person will be Hannah Thomas. This is a 501c3 organization within Havre de Grace. It's a multiple-day event, so on the second page, you'll notice there's a number of additional dates. So they're going to hold one in not only June, but also July and August. There's no conflicts down at the location or at Concord Point Park. They will set up at 6 p.m. The event starts at 8:30, ends at 10:30. Breakdown and cleanup is at 11:30. All the appropriate documentation is in the packet. The costing sheet is at the end. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gambatoria. Council, I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by the Council President. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Jones. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Movies in the Park, June 30th, July 28th, and August 25th, 2023. Approved, 5-0 in the affirmative. Thank you, Mr. Gambatoria. Thank you, Council. We're going to go into Director's Reports. Item 16, we're going to start off the Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My first comment is a very heartfelt congratulations to our Chief of Police. Very well deserved. I applaud the Mayor for the thought of doing this with he and Mr. Taylor. And it was a very difficult secret to keep, and that's why you haven't seen much of me. But yes, congratulations, Chief. It's very well deserved, and it's nice, especially when you become a council member. I remember my first go-around. My first interaction with the police department was very positive, and we had a very difficult run up on Girard Street, I think, at that time. And you and your folks handled it professionally. We came through it. Everybody, including the neighbors and neighborhoods, pulled together, and it was really at your direction of how that went. So, and the chief, I think my other first big duty as a new council person was to assist you with your budget to get new firearms, and I had never shot a pistol before. And after the chief got the new firearms, she invited me up to the range, and I got a little education up there, but I appreciate that. But yeah, you're great, and you're an icon here in the city. You're a rock star, and we all appreciate you. So thank you for that. Secondly, the other rock stars of the council, thanks for passing the budget tonight. It's a long process, and we appreciate all the support on that. Thirdly, I'd like to let Mr. Abdul Adabi know that these meetings typically aren't this long, but But on the serious side, on the administrative side, we're working on a number of initiatives to try to outreach, do better outreach, and one is on the Connect CTYs, reaching out to the anyone who's watching, anyone who reads the minutes from this meeting is to be able to opt into that that system. Ms. Johnson and Mr. Rachinsky are working on, and others, Tammy Brinkman, are working on a new Citizen Connection, which will also allow for an opt-in option so that information and communication, as we heard tonight, can get out in a, in a flash, almost flash of the moment, us having the flash of a moment ability to do that. And so we're looking forward to that. The first round will be both a virtual and a paper copy that'll be coming out on the Citizen Connection, so we're looking forward to that. We have about a 39% outreach when it comes to the CTY messages that we send out on for water sewer breaks and that sort of thing, which is not really good. Harford County, on their isolated water main breaks and so forth for their neighborhoods, which are a little smaller than what we're doing here, they're hitting in a 90% range. So that's pretty good. So we got a long way to go, and so we'll continue to work that. One of the speakers this evening did make a comment about Councilmember Jones and Councilmember Boker's websites not being, our email addresses not being hot, and they're not, nor is Councilmember Schnegis's. So I went in and checked while we were sitting here, so we'll get that addressed first thing in the morning. I'm not sure why. They worked when we loaded them up, but there's a glitch somewhere, so we'll take care of that.
You can turn mine off.
I think you do yours pretty well. You filter yours pretty well. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
You know,
Thanks.
Council President, it's those 5-letter last names that throw everybody off.
Yeah, absolutely. Ring soccer's easy to remember.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatoria. Good evening, Mr. Boursier, the Director of Planning. How are you, sir?
Great.
Good.
Just a couple things. Diane spoke tonight about the comp plan, and one thing I just really wanted to emphasize was when the comprehensive plan is sort of a function of the Planning Commission, but at the end of the day, this body adopts that plan, and all too often what happens is you wouldn't get it till this people here wouldn't see it till the very end, and at that point maybe it's too late, and there's sometimes something that isn't supposed to be controversial that is, or is a bigger deal than maybe what it is. So the one thing I really want to emphasize about what Diane spoke about tonight was that website that's up there that has all the chapters that are ongoing, and I will continue to work with Councilmember Schnegis. She's very involved with the comp plan, but in the future there may be some point where we need to have a joint workshop with the Planning Commission and talk about those things. We just really don't want the comprehensive plan to be a surprise, because the next step after it's adopted is the Planning Department will begin implementing the plan. You'll start seeing ordinances from us. We'll start seeking grants for things that are in there. So we just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So that was one of the big things tonight about being at the midway point, is to just periodically check into that link. I'll continue to mention stuff during our council meetings, but it's about that time to start kind of checking in on what's going on with that. Concerning school redistricting, twice a year the Department of Planning has to provide a report to all of you. That comes about a month after the county gives their report. So that should be, I'll look tomorrow, but it may already be completed. So we're already scheduled to give that report to all of you in the second meeting in July. As the last time that we gave that report, there's only Havre de Grace Elementary School is coming up on the 110% capacity rating. That wouldn't happen until 2025. The current plans are in 2026, there will be a school open for special needs kids that they think will help drop capacity. And then at that same time, they were planning on redistricting. So those were the current plans. Not sure how that's changed with the most recent attendance numbers, but we'll have that for you in a month. And just along those lines, development is continuing. So despite what came up with the comprehensive plan today, where we're talking about shrinking our planning area a little bit, all those areas that we have in the city, those 1,600 houses we're really moving forward on. There's already been a lot of construction on Phase 2 of Greenway Farms. We're getting calls about Phase 3 and finishing that up and then bonding the project, which would mean the beginning phases of construction would start. I think everybody knows that Scion Hill Estates and their 140 units has started. We received an application for the Planning Commission for the next part of the green property to the north of that, which is over 300 units. I walked the Lamson property the other day looking at different specimen trees and that sort of thing, and they'll be moving forward soon on another 35 to 40 units. So there is a lot of projects already within the city that are full on. So we are not stopping. So that's it for planning department. Just want to give you guys a heads up of what's going on.
Any questions for Tim? No? Tim, thank you very much. Good evening, Ms. Johnson, Director of Economic Development, Tourism.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens at home. I wanted to follow up real quick with some comments made by Jolene Foster, the owner of Joe Retro, and she had some very kind words earlier, and thank you, because about a year ago, Julie Ronke and I, when she was the Main Street manager for the city of Havre de Grace, walked Lodge Lane, about 4 or 5 blocks of Lodge Lane, so that's, of course, the alley behind the retail businesses, and we were seeking or looking for additional parking to create for the downtown, and we looked at the businesses downtown and some of the properties to see what we could do in their backyards. So long story short, because this is some of the things that keep coming up in terms of did the mayor and council receive our recommendations. And one of the recommendations was for us to seek grant funding for those type of projects. So there is no grant funding available. The state does not, for the type of grants that I can write for, does not fund parking lots in the development of private property behind an establishment or a retail store to create parking. So that type of project for the downtown is a private sector project. So we did our half, at least, on economic development and identifying those properties. And again, one of the properties identified is the property that the council and mayor is seeking to purchase at the foot of Congress Avenue. So we did take those recommendations into consideration, and thank you for recognizing that, Jolene, who is still in the audience. Thanks. Moving on. Last Monday, June 12th, the National Park Service visited the city of Havre de Grace. We received a grant in terms of not monetary funding, but technical assistance, and they were here to show us or help us how to build a footbridge from our portion of the Swan Harbor Trail, which starts in the industrial park, to the county side. So we have funding. We hope to be under construction by August or September. The footbridge is going to be a little longer than we anticipated. We were thinking 50 to 60 feet. It's probably going to be 100 feet. Thanks to our planning department and Diane Clare that knows how to look at wetlands on a map better than we do in economic development, and we realize that our bridge needs to be a little bit longer. That is a hint to the finance department that I'm out of money. Okay. We have the Tourism Advisory Board meeting tomorrow, June 21st. Yes, tomorrow, June 21st at 10 a.m. here in council chambers. TAB, Tourism Advisory Board, will not meet during the months of July and August. We also have the Economic Development Advisory Board meeting here tomorrow at 4:00 p.m. EDAB will not meet during the month of July. I think we're meeting in August. If anything changes, I will let everyone know. Our department is prepping for Maryland Municipal League, the conference in Ocean City next week. The city of Havre de Grace always has a booth set up in the convention center. We will have a booth set up again this year. And I have some classes to attend on behalf of Main Street, Maryland. They are celebrating their 25th year anniversary, which means Havre de Grace is celebrating its 22nd year, as we're the 3rd oldest Main Street in the state of Maryland. So I look forward to seeing my colleagues from around the state and see what plans we have for the remainder of this year. Thank you, Council, for passing the budget. I'm sure Wanda Booker is watching at home. We had a grant to submit by 10 p.m. tonight, and we could not push the send button until the budget was passed. So that has happened. We are requesting $216,000 from the Department of Housing and Community Development, and this is for the restrooms at Hutchins Park. So we feel positive about receiving that funding. Today, Pamela Sickenberger started work. She is our new part-time Main Street and Tourism Coordinator position. She is a great asset to the department. Look forward to working with her. We're going to spend the next 2 weeks focused on tourism and then roll her into the Main Street position as well. And we intend to utilize the space that we are renting downtown. The old Amanda Flores space to keep the businesses more up to date on the downtown restoration project as we receive our updates from Patrick Seipold. So it's coming. I wanted to say congratulations to the new owners of the cottage on St. John Street for its grand opening that took place this weekend. The cottage on St. John is located at 433 St. John Street. So anytime we have a new business open, that is a good thing. So congratulations to them. Other than that, the Maryland Dove will arrive this Friday, June 23rd, and departing on Sunday, June 25th. The docking will be at Hutchins Memorial Park, 100 Congress Avenue. Free tours over the weekend. You can find additional information about the Maryland Dove as well as First Fridays and all of our city events on explorehavredegrace.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram as well. And are there any questions? Yes.
Council, any questions for Ms. Johnson? Yes.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Ms. Johnson, my question is regarding your grant for the restrooms at Hutchins Park.
Yes.
Does that also include a water fountain?
Not quite. Well, a separate, or do you just
A
mean
separate
something
water
that's complete?
fountain, one that would, looks like the one that we have down at Concord Point Lighthouse, where it has a fountain for people, fountain for the dogs, a refillable bottle.
Right. So I will say this restroom doesn't, but it's not too late because along with the grant process, the council can do like a matching fund and then we can add that to the project.
So with that said, under consideration, there is a special group that is interested in that.
Okay.
And they will be there this summer, the sailing team, the youth.
Wonderful.
And they are interested. They haul in their own water. And, you know, but the kids, they bring their water bottles and fill it up, and they're troopers, but it really would be nice if, you know, they could fill up their bottles, but also visiting people that are walking around that want to fill up their water bottles, that'd be great too, or just get a quick drink or, you know.
Absolutely, and I'm not making light of it, Councilwoman. We, the grant that we applied for has a maximum amount, so we'll take the maximum amount that we can get, and seriously, we can add things if the funding is there, but $216,000 is, it would have been nice to write a grant for $400,000, but this was the max that we could go for.
Well, thank you, I appreciate your answer.
Absolutely.
Council President?
Bridget? So the Clark Road Trail is very near and dear to my heart. You notice the Boy Scouts, one of the Ben Duff just got his Eagle Scout. Congratulations. That was his project, the first portion of it.
Yep.
And actually, the bridge was our big barrier to completing that. And we have scouts that want to complete the rest of that trail, 100%. Just the whole wetlands area and doing the bridge, I didn't think it was going to be 100 feet. I'm glad that you guys are doing it because that's not something that would be really within the scope of an Eagle Scout project. I only ask that it's wide enough for my four-wheeler so I can haul the mulch. If it's not, I'll have to go around, I guess, but thank you so much for moving forward on this project because we have other scouts lined up to finish out that project. And with EJ's help, everybody over at DPW has just been immensely helpful in getting the mulch delivered and getting everything done and just helping us out. And the first portion of the trail just looks fabulous. once we get the bridge done, it's gonna be great, and that's gonna complete that portion of the Lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway Trail, so that's pretty cool.
Yep, thank you, CP. And also, we would love to have the help of the Eagle Scouts, and we, in terms of, again, we didn't think the bridge would be this long, but it really is. And thank you to DPW, because when it comes to writing grants sometimes in the matching funds, when we don't have money on the tables, we take into account every member of DPW that's working on the grant. We calculate their salaries, how many hours they'll be out there, and we also calculate volunteer hours. So we'll take everything that we can get. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Johnson? Bridget, thank you very much, and just want to wish you a happy belated birthday. It was over this weekend, right? This past weekend?
It was this weekend. It lasted about 2 weeks, but
Right,
thank you.
You're the hardest person to figure out on Facebook because everybody's wishing you happy birthday for a couple weeks, you know? I was like, when is it? And then it popped up. Okay. All right, anyway. I'm
The
just
element
kidding.
of surprise,
Sincerely happy birthday, and how's it feel to be 40?
Exactly. It's wonderful.
Wasn't too bad. I
I'll
got over
take
it pretty
it.
quick.
Yes, thanks.
Mr. Doherty, our Director of Finance, is feeling under the weather today, couldn't make it, so we graciously accepted our Deputy Director of Finance. Hello, Abdul. How are you doing this evening?
Good evening, Mayor. How are you? Council members, how are you? Again, George is, away. Filling for him for today. I did that June 5th, 2 weeks ago. So this is, I think, 2 straight sessions where, it's been a marathon, but it's been, this is democracy at work, so I do appreciate it. Just in terms of, again, thank you for approving the FY24 budget. Chief, congratulations on the promotion. And just in terms of the financial conditions of our 3 major funds, the general fund, water and sewer, and the marina. In terms of the general fund, since our last reporting, June 5th has decreased $2,000. The balance sits at around $2.6 million. It is $1.7 million ahead of budget. Since the last report, revenues are up $205,000. Expenditures are up also $607,000. Hence the $2,000 decline in fund balance. Respect to water and sewer fund, since our last reporting, has decreased by $405,000, and the balance sits at around $977,000. It is $12,000 ahead of budget estimates. In terms of revenues and expenditures, revenues are up $211,000. Expenditures are up $616,000. Hence the $405,000 decline in fund balance. In terms of the last major fund, the Marina Fund, we've seen a decrease of around $8,000 since our last reporting, with the fund balance sitting around $595,000. It is $247,000 ahead of budget estimates. Since the last report, revenues are up $25,000. Expenditures are up $33,000. Hence, in terms of the net, is $8,000 decline in fund balance. So that's all I have for this evening. If you guys have any questions.
Any questions for Abdul? We did a great job 2 times in a row. I'm telling you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate
getting
it. All right. Again, I remember saying at the last meeting, they're not all this long, but I'm looking like I'm making a liar of me here. But
Yeah, I figured George knows some insider information that I don't.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate the update. And it takes us to the Director of Public Works, Mr. Melizer. How you doing, sir?
Doing well, thank you. Appreciate it. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council President, council members, citizens. First, congratulations, Chief. I appreciate it. All your hard work working with you. First, a quick thank you for last week, Tim Whitty. Second, I'm going to talk about some project updates. Third, just go over a few employee retirements. So special thanks to Tim Whitty, standing in for me last week for director duties in my absence while I was attending the advanced wastewater course in Emmitsburg, Maryland. He did an excellent job, a tough week. We had a couple water main breaks, if you remember, pump station failure, and a very lengthy council meeting. So very big thank you to Tim. On to some of the project updates. Abdul mentioned the marina. The marina fuel tanks are in. The area near the marina is fully operational. Looking forward to see increased usage this summer. On the topic of the marina, we did get a great letter from about our marina staff who did an excellent job. Credit to Ezra Berger, Natalie Trimble, and Felicia Jones. They did an outstanding job. They had an incident happen this past week that could have been life-threatening. I got a very nice letter from Mr. Robert Krickenberger, I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong, detailing the heroics of an accident that happened with one of the boaters. Just want to give them credit for their actions and quick response, and thank you to the citizens that helped out for the incident. Credit to them. Second update on Water Street boat launch. We are awaiting some results for the soil samples to come back. So if you see the cones out there, you see the barricades, still waiting on the samples to come back before we can have it fully operational. We are still finishing up the kayak soft launch, as I talked with Patrick, and the continuation of the signature sidewalk area. It's going to be on the south side of the parking lot. Haven't given an update on that in a while. Just want to give a quick update on that. Third, happy to report Lafayette sidewalk is 100% completed. This area near the Lafayette to Market Street that connects more connectivity and walkability for the Maritime Museum all the way near the lighthouse, so that is good. All good news. To conclude, talk about some retirements. I couldn't do what I do without hardworking staff. Have Stephanie Noy, who's getting ready to retire, 7 years of hard work for the city. She's been a tremendous help for earning grants, educating city staff such as myself and citizens on the importance of MS4, different reportings, and advocating for forward-thinking projects like the Living Shoreline. Last but not least, Robert Skinner. I don't know if you know Robert. Many know Robert. 28 years as a water treatment plant operator, 28 years. His knowledge, experience, and humor will surely be missed. It's combined 35 years. It's older than I am. So we're looking forward to celebrating their time here at the city. And there's no jab at you, Chief, I promise you. I'm willing to learn from all of you, so I do appreciate it, and that is all I have to report.
EJ, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions for EJ? Well done. Hey, Chief, how's it going? How's your night?
Well, I'm feeling a lot older now. Between Chief Moore telling how many years I worked at the sheriff's office and he...
I know, I can't believe he went there, but that's okay. I mean, I wasn't going to bring that up.
It's all good, it's all good. So, I just want to thank you very much, Mayor. It was definitely a shock and a surprise.
So you didn't know about it?
I did not.
Howard kept it a secret? Okay.
Oh, that's amazing. That in itself is a miracle, because that man can't keep his pie hole shut for anything. He really can't.
Why we were smiling.
So thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Thank you, council members. Thank you, sir. I do really appreciate that. It was definitely a surprise. So, and I do thank the officers and everybody that works over at the police department. They are all amazing. And they work very well with our community. Our community has been very helpful to us. They really have. So, yeah, I think it's a real team effort between us, you all supporting us, and the community. I think that's what makes our community truly a safe community. So thank you. I do appreciate that. So now I'm going to move on. Something that is also near and dear to my heart is the Special Olympics Maryland, and tomorrow we have our torch run kickoff, and it is going to be at 8 o'clock down at the Lock House, McElhaney Park, the Lock House right there. And a young lady who has actually represented the United States in the Special Olympics Maryland, Stacy Hull. She's going to be down there as well, cheering law enforcement on. And I'm not sure she's going to be running either, because she just got back from Berlin, where she did represent us. So, but I know she's going to be there as well, cheering everybody on if she isn't running also. So congratulations to her. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I really do like this, I know Mr. Gamatory had mentioned it, and you all had approved the Summer Jam for this coming Saturday, June the 24th, from 12 to 4 p.m. The Housing Authority puts this on. They've been putting this on for several years, and it is a great opportunity for the entire community of Havre de Grace to get together. And it's located at Somerset Manor. And they have everything, all kinds of activities for the kids, whether it's the moon bounce or face painting, music, dancing. The kids are always, running around. But they also have other really good things there. They do health screening if you want to get, if you want to check your blood pressure or whatever, they'll do health screening. They also have folks there that will talk with you about finances, education opportunities, so it's a really good opportunity for the community as a whole. It's free, there's nothing, you don't have to pay for tickets or anything like that. And of course, like I said, they have music, the host company is usually there, we're there, Upper Chesapeake is usually there, so there's a lot of activity. So it's a good, fun neighborhood thing to bring your children. The other thing that I wanted to mention is I know we introduced Cole Higgins, one of our newest police officers. He graduated from the police academy this past Thursday, and he's already up and running. And he was busy earlier this evening because he started night shift, and he hit the ground running. So, but he's doing really, really well. I'm really happy to have him. Like I said, I told you before, I think I'd take 10 of him. He's a good guy. He truly, truly is. The other thing I want to mention, last but not least, because we're not going to have a council meeting before our July the 4th celebration, it's going to be on July the 2nd, which is Sunday. So, of course, like everything else, the Independence Day Committee does a great job with the posters that they make up, kind of outlining the itinerary for the day. But it does start off with the parade going down Union Avenue, but typically we close that road off like around 12:30, 1 o'clock, so you absolutely can't drive down Union Avenue. But the other big thing is that you can't also set up your chairs, your beach blankets, whatever that you have out there till after 8 o'clock. So I'm just warning you, we're going to be poised for action if we see blankets and beach balls and everything like that before 8 o'clock. And I've seen people actually sit there waiting for that time to put their items out. So, so looking forward to that. It sounds like the Independence Day Committee is doing a great job, have a lot lined up. So the parade is at 2 o'clock. The concert's the concert at Hutchins Park starts at 5:30. The concert at Concord Park is at 7:30. And then my dispatchers would kill me if I didn't remind everybody that the fireworks begin when it's dark, because everybody calls to want to know when the fireworks begin. So that is usually around 9:15. So that would be it for me, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate the update. Council President.
Chief, I want to relate a story. Many years ago, my brother-in-law decided he was going to put stakes out in front of his house on Union Avenue. And Neil Crouch stopped by, and they had a big argument because my brother-in-law was trying to convince him that he was growing tomatoes in the front yard, and he was putting stakes out for the tomatoes. It didn't work well.
Any other questions for the chief? Okay, thank you. We'll go to item 17, business from the mayor. So the sidewalk on Lafayette Street by the Maritime Museum is now completed. We're very happy to announce it's well overdue, but we finally were able to install it. It's not your average sidewalk. We had to put up a little bit of a retaining wall and some other things just to make it stable and keep the dirt and stuff from running on it, but it's done now. So citizens no longer have to walk up the street on Lafayette or down the street. They can use the sidewalk. We're happy to announce it's opened. Trolley information. 4 trolleys ran for 3 days this past weekend. 2,491 riders. Operating hours of 168 hours. 1,247 miles. And we're happy to announce no incidents. So to our trolley ambassadors, we call them, the drivers, we want to thank them for their continued ambassadorship. I rode one for the first time this year, the other weekend. It was great. Just my wife and I were leaving a shrimp and bull roast at Hutchins Park, and we were standing right by even though we're parked right there, we were standing right by the trolley sign at the entrance of Hutchins Park, and one came up, and it was Debbie Phelan, nice lady I know who drive trolleys, and we're like, let's jump on it. And as we did the whole loop around the city, everyone we picked up were people we knew. like, hey, it's Rick Hoff, or it's, Ed and Karen Guerrero. I mean, we're just, everyone we knew, it was kind of like a thing people do. So, and there was a couple new people to town, and we all just had a wonderful time talking to the new people visiting our town about the things to do and the places to go eat. So, like I say, the trolley program is up and running. We do have a couple more trolleys on order, but as I've learned about a month or so out, it's all about supply issues. It's not about funding, it's about supply. We've ordered them a while ago. But of the 2 new trolleys that are coming in, they're very similar to the ones that are already being deployed. But one of them will have ADA accessibility capability for probably wheelchair use and things like that. So when we get them online, we'll let everybody know. But right now, we have 4 good trolleys running. Last week at the council meeting, I issued a state of emergency declaration on the 800 block of Erie Street, which was followed by the reason I issued a state of emergency was to help issue an executive order to change the traffic pattern on Erie Street. Erie Street was 2 ways to and from Route 40, to and from Juniata Street, and it became pretty congested over time, especially since a lot of GPS hardware was directing people to go on Erie Street. In fact, I live up in Grace Harbor, and if I was to leave my house, and if I wanted to go to Perryville, it would tell me to go down 155, make a right on Juniata, and make a right on Erie. So it was pretty much to the point where all the GPSs were telling people to take that small residential street, when really the road that handles that kind of traffic is State Road Otsego Street. So that combined with a lot of congestion, property damage, and public safety, my executive order allowed traffic only to come off of Route 40 to Juniata Street. You cannot make a right from Juniata onto Erie to Route 40. And that's just part of the temporary executive order. The executive order is good for 30 days. It expires on July 15th. The only way to make a traffic pattern permanent is council has to codify a permanent traffic pattern. Currently, that is being discussed in the Public Safety Committee. I know that Councilmember Boyer chairs that committee, and Street Traffic Safety. Remember, these are recommendations from committees. Council can, approve them or alter it or debate or change it in any way they want. But because of the way ordinances work, I don't see a permanent ordinance coming by July 15th. So I would probably have to ask council at the next council meeting if they would consider restoring or upholding my executive order for 30 more days. But again, I've been talking to folks on Erie Street. They seem generally happy, but I also know that there could be other variations of a permanent traffic pattern, which we can discuss. So just wanted to let folks know, because I've been getting a lot of emails about, is this the permanent thing? Is there a different thing coming? So whatever does happen at the end of the day, council will codify it. And I want everybody to know, whatever happens, everything's going to be looked at. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We'll change it. That's the nice thing about looking at things and re-examine them. So we're going to, I think whatever council does, I think it's going to be what they believe is best with the administration and public safety. If a year goes by and it doesn't seem like it works, we'll figure it out. So, but I want to just bring that up because a lot of people talk about it. Also, I've heard from some citizens on Ontario Street, which is the next street over on Juniata Street, that there's been an increase of wrong-way traffic. Ontario Street's always been one-way since as long as I know. There's always been do not enter signs on both sides of the road, and a big one-way street, and another white sign with black border that has a black circle, and the red sign says you can't make a right. I don't know what else to tell people that are disobeying the law. I know the chief will probably have a couple extra patrols there on the street. I know that EJ went out there today with Adam to look at the signage to see if we can place them better. So if you're one of my good friends on Ontario Street, I know you live on Ontario Street, Councilmember Snags, but if one of my good friends on Ontario Street, I don't know what else to say. It's against the law to go against the traffic, and I don't even know GPS would tell you to take that, because if your GPS is telling you to take Ontario Street to Route 40, it's never been that way. So we'll just keep an eye on it with law enforcement. We'll see if the signs could be moved any better. So we're looking at, Council President?
I'd like to point out that the citizens have taken it upon themselves to put little arrows saying one way, about 10 of them out there right now. So maybe that's doing the job.
Well, yeah, I've seen that as well. And like I say, it's sad. I mean, people would go, there's a handful of streets in Havre de Grace that are one way. Part of Stoke Street, one way and things like that. But again, you know, ladies and gentlemen, Havre de Grace is a quirky city with quirky streets. There's stop signs where there shouldn't be stop signs, no stop signs where there should be stop signs. It's just, it's life in Havre de Grace. Havre de Grace living, you know what I mean? So just please be aware, just really, really, you know, watch your street signs, and we'll try to take care of the out-of-towners that, you know, and politely tell them, hey man, it's one way. So, and commission announcements, I'm going to give you in 1 second, but I just wanted to bring up one more time that we do have the 4th of July weekend coming, and it's going to be a great weekend. We got great stuff happening. We got an awesome concert coming Saturday night, July 1st, to the Star Center. One I've been wanting for a lot of years. And the name of that group is called Unforgettable Fire. Anybody know what group they cover? U2. Yep, named after the album, Unforgettable Fire. Yes, it's a U2 cover band, and it's the best in the nation. We've been waiting to get them for years. This band is so good that The Edge and Adam Clayton from U2 have actually crashed their concert once, unannounced. They know, the U2 knows who these guys are because they're really good at what they do. They're coming here to Havre de Grace Saturday night, the night before our July 1st. So I'm a huge fan of U2, along with Council President. And okay, I know Mr. Council President doesn't like U2. It's all right. I know. All right. We've had this conversation. All right. But anyway, we're looking forward to that. And then on Sunday, it's just a great day. It's a great day with you know, the parade coming to town, and there's concerts at Hutchins Park. There'll be concerts at Concord Point Park. Fireworks probably around 9:15, and we hope everybody is going to participate safely and with your families. And remember that the city of Havre de Grace loves and welcomes everybody to attend, no matter where you live, where you're from. And the whole day is a family-friendly event, and we are here. We're going to use all of our resources as a city and as law enforcement and first responders to make sure everybody's safe and has a good time. So. And also want to thank the members of the Independence Day Commission who work really hard to pull off this entire event. So, and finally, I want to give out commission assignments. So the way it works is when there's a new council sworn in at the second meeting in May, the council president then appoints chairs of the 6 council committees. There's like the Department of Public Works Committee, Public Safety Committee, Budget and Finance Committee, Admin Committee, you know, Planning Committee, things like that. Well, then there's commissions. So if you know, our charter has a lot of different commissions. You have Tourism Advisory Board, Arts Commission, you know, Planning Commission, Board of Appeals, things like that. And so the mayor appoints council members as liaisons to these commissions. So I'd like to read into the record the new assignments of council appointments or council appointments to these commissions. And if you're sitting at home and you know don't have a thing to rewind it, listen to it, just go on our website. It'll be up there. But for Economic Development Advisory Board, we'll keep Councilmember Robertson as liaison. Tourism Advisory Board, we now have Councilmember Jones. Street Traffic and Safety Committee will remain Councilmember Boyer. The Arts Commission, I've also asked Councilmember Jones to be liaison to the Arts Commission. Water and Sewer Commission would be Johnny Boker, and I also have another appointment to make to that as well, but I'll do that shortly. Marina Commission, we will have Councilmember Shenagus and Councilmember Boger. The Tree Commission will still be Councilmember Boyer. The Youth Commission will be Councilmember Robertson. The Cultural Exchange Commission will be Councilmember Boyer. The Planning Commission will be Councilmember Shenagus, and the Board of Appeals will be Councilmember Shenagus as well. Historic Preservation Commission will be Councilmember Jones, which is one of my favorite commissions. The Ethics Commission will be the Council President. And the Independence Day Commission will be Councilmember Boger. So the council members actually received these assignments the other day. So if, these will all be updated on the city website soon in case you need to reach out to any of the council members. With that said, I yield my time now to Councilmember Robertson, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, city staff, ladies and gentlemen here and at home. Just a couple kudos, I guess. Number one, Chief, great job. Number 2, EJ, please pass along to your staff, Ezra and all, our appreciation for going above and beyond the call of duty. So this past weekend, I just want to give a shout out and a thank you to Mark and Kemi Faro for doing an outstanding job with the Father's Day event at the American Legion. It was a lot of fun, a lot of success, and brought out some of the family and had a great time. As well, the American Legion had the pop-up War Museum open, so it was really cool to give my 90-year-old step-grandfather a chance to sit down and chat with some of the volunteers in there, and they took some time, and he really enjoyed that. So thank you for that. Also, a shout-out to Yelisa Sibilia and Tanya Rice for putting on the Juneteenth event yesterday at the American Legion and providing the meal. And a thank you to Dr. Barnes and Ms. Patricia Cole for coming and speaking about the Hosanna School and the Color School in town, and Winona Hilton Stanley for giving a presentation on her family's military service, which includes the renowned Alfred B. Hilton. So thank you for taking your time out of your day to do that, and all those folks who were able to attend. I wish everybody well this week, and I wish everybody well for the 4th of July. And, you know, just try and be kind and courteous to the people that go up the wrong way. It does happen all the time. I live right off of Washington Street, and I've had people come, you know, right toward me, and you just pull over and say, hey, you might want to turn around. And it just so happens this past Sunday, I was hanging out at a friend's house on Ontario, and within that 2-hour time, watched 2 cars go up the wrong way on Ontario, even with all those homemade signs. So, you know, folks in Havre de Grace know to be cognizant of that, but just remind people when you see them that, yeah, they're going the wrong way. Mr. Mayor, with that, that's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Good evening, Councilmember Booker.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, citizens at home, and those still with us in the audience. Thank you for that as well. So I just want to go ahead and echo the Director of Administration, Mr. Stephen Gamatori's words. He actually congratulated the administration for recognizing Chief Walters, and congratulations to you as well. That's something that I know that we're really eager to do, right? There's been a lot of scuttle. I'm shocked that you didn't find out before, because you are in the know. You know everything, which is a good thing, right? So I also want to thank the council for passing the budget. And it was kind of sad that the Director of Economic Development and Tourism kind of stole my thunder, because I was going to put my wife to work this evening with the grant, but so I appreciate that. I also want to, talking about Patricia Cole, she's the director for the Color Schools, and they're actually doing on August the 12th, the Color School Museum and Cultural Events Center are doing the Arts, Wine, Jazz, and Soul Fest, and that's on August the 12th. So mark your calendars, check the Facebook site. The tickets range from $15 in increments all the way up to $70. So it's a fantastic way to go out there, and you may even see a performance by Saxo Rose, who was taught music by the recently retired Rick Hoff, right? So that's always a treat. So let's see here. So always I want to thank the Susquehanna Hose Company, the police force, our EMTs and first responders for all the work that they do and keeping us safe at night. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boger. And good evening, Councilmember Jones. Thank you,
Mayor. And good evening, everyone, and folks at home. So I just wanted to say a happy belated Juneteenth. I was very happy to see that there were so many activities, especially in Havre de Grace, to celebrate Juneteenth, so that was really good to see. I wound up attending a 5K Freedom Run this past weekend. I did not run, and I also celebrated with my neighbors, so that was a lot of fun. I was also tickled. I was watching a show on the weekend, and the Susquehanna Hose Company came up on this program, and they were showing them doing training exercises, and a car went in the water, and they rescued. And I was just like, wow, I know those guys. You know, so that was really exciting to me, and to know how serious they take their job and their work. So I just want to give a kudos to Susquehanna Hose for their hard work. I was going to mention the Summer Jam on June 24th. That was already mentioned. And then I was also going to mention the Wine Festival that is going to be at that is hosted by the Colored School on August 12th. And just to say, it's a lot of fun, great music, but get your tickets because they go fast. So that's why I wanted to share that, because even though it's June, you really should get your tickets because they're going to sell out. And that is all for me. Yes.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Jones. And good evening, Councilmember Shenagus.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Administration, our audience that is still here, thank you, and for our audience at home. I just want to say thank you so much to our wonderful city. Everybody works together in Havre de Grace. It is wonderful to see how projects are laid out, we have a timeline, and they come to fruition. Thank you, EJ and the Department of Public Works and the Marina Commission for making things happen down at the marina. It's nice to know a project was planned, people were concerned because summer was coming up, and here you have it. Things happened, and without that happening, people were a little concerned, and now they can rest easy and bring their boats in and get fueled up, or make a pit stop in Havre de Grace and be on their merry way traveling about. But we of course want them to come in to the marina and ride the tide around town. So I'm glad to hear that we're having success with the tide, and it would be great to see more people getting out and about and taking advantage of that. Yes, we want our exercise, but also, yes, it's nice to be able to get across town and meet and greet people as we are, interacting. And I would like to say, Miss Teresa Walters, Chief, 2 stars, way to go. You've always been 2 stars in my heart. You welcomed me from day one, and I appreciate being invited into the police force as a ride-along person that was able to see the community from a different angle. So I recommend to any council members that want that opportunity to go for it and get involved and see our city from a different lens. Well, we have a lot going on, don't we? And of course, 4th of July, it's going to be great. But prior to that, don't forget to wish your council member, Ms. Tammy Lynn Shenagus, a happy birthday on June 22nd. That's my mother's birthday. And to go to concerts in the park. It is on Friday, July 23rd, 7:30. We will have a band, RBM, featuring jazz and instrumental pop, and this is one of the Arts Commission's wonderful events that they host every year, and they go through every Friday through July. More to follow. Also, anyone that's interested in watching or participating in the kayak run, that's going to happen this Saturday, June 24th. The Heritage Greenway project is featuring the Matilda Kayak Run. The proceeds will go to help sponsor the development and restoration at the American Legion. So I know that that's where the final run will be. So if anyone wants to welcome folks in as they make their final trek, 3 to 5 mile kayak run, that would be great to see people out there. So with that said, I want to say thank you to all that came out tonight, and I wish you a very happy 4th of July coming up, and we will see you again soon. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Shenagus, and we're going to go to business from the Council President.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Council, citizens all, city staff, those few still watching at home, and there are 3 people in the audience. All right, a couple things here. Well, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to point out that I've been in talks with Jimmy Burrell about trying to get a Black Sabbath cover band over to the Star Center because we want good music versus, U2. But
I'm down with Black Sabbath too. Man.
I probably lost some votes there. Probably gained a couple more.
Let's bring Black Sabbath after you two.
I dig it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen to the wizard first, then maybe some war pigs and. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Fairies wear boots. So I want to point out a couple things that might sound like hypocrisy, but there's a reason behind it. So under the special events, the Summer Jam and the movies in the park, these are normal events that we expect every year that if every council supports, we know they're coming. They have almost zero impact at all on our city staff and our police, our DPW, street closure, stuff like that. Last year, we didn't approve the Caribbean Festival. Caught a lot of flack for that and a lot of fights over that. But, and the excuse was that it was just dropped on us with very short notice, and we didn't approve it. Well, also, you know, this year the Summer Jam is June 24th. It was just approved. They're completely different circumstances. There's no hypocrisy here. These events are regular events that we have all the time that we expect to come, that we know are coming, that have been in the works, just trying to button up a couple things, not some organization who decides they're going to profit off of the city and not provide us any information, and you know, just come up to us with such short notice that we can't do our due diligence for our citizens. So that's, I wanted you to know that there was no hypocrisy here, that's why we approved these events over some other ones we've not approved. With that said, let me see here. Well, I will not be here at the next meeting. I'll be out camping with the Boy Scouts, going to scout camp for the first time in 30-some years. Not looking forward to the heat, but I do have one advantage I didn't have last time I went to scout camp is Ryobi battery-powered fans. So I'm going to be bringing those, and I do actually have a job now, so I have some expendable income. I can buy myself maybe some creature comforts while I'm there. But years ago, I was up in the mountains of Germany, and then along the Lahn River in northern Germany, and then out at Camp Rodney across the river. But now we're going up to Camp Horseshoe with Troop 967, and looking forward to a good time. Actually going to show up a little late because we leave after the parade. 965, I'm sorry, I do that all the time. 967 was my trip when I was a kid. 965, my son is pointing that out. So we're going to do the parade first, and then we're shooting up the camp afterwards. So I look forward to that. I will not be available at all that entire week, email or phone, because there's no service up there at all. So I'll get back to you later, and I promise I will. And again, Bridget, thank you so much for the help with the trail and EJ. I'm so looking forward to getting that finished because it's really something that's going to be beneficial for the whole community. Now going back to the previous issue we had here tonight, you know, I always say that when I got elected, I got 1,000 new friends and 1,000 new enemies, and I barely knew any of them. You know, people think they know who you are, they think they know what you stand for, and then they'll make assumptions about why you vote a certain way you do because they disagree with you, and it must be because of some impropriety. Must be because you know, you're taking bribes, which I've heard here before, people saying that we took bribes. I'm not pointing to you, I'm pointing at the podium. I've heard people say that, you know, we got kickbacks from developers. I've heard people just say that we traveled to Wales on the city dime, and I've heard all kinds of things that are so untrue. And it's these rumors that are so disheartening because there are no politicians up here. None of us are politicians. We work regular jobs. We have families in this community. We all chose to be elected officials. We're not politicians. We are normal people. We're nonpartisan. There are no Republicans or Democrats up here. There's no anybody else. It's just Havre de Grace citizens who wanted to give back, who wanted to do something for this community. And it's disheartening that you have other members in our community saying disparaging things that we could take. But it's just disheartening that they feel the need, instead of having civil discourse with their fellow man, they make accusations and slander and just act inappropriately. That they could approach us better and have a more meaningful conversation and come to a more amicable agreement. And that's what I ask of you guys out there in YouTube world and everybody here. Remember, we're just people too. And we're trying to make this place better. We are trying to improve Havre de Grace. And we're doing it the best way we can. I'm not a civil engineer, but I've spent hundreds of hours on this plan, on other plans. I've had over 150 meetings on Scion Hill and the, what is it, AR 277, the comprehensive plan, all these other things. And I'm watching my children grow up without me because I want to improve Havre de Grace for their children. So I just ask for a little patience. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well said, Council President. We're going to go to item number 19, adjournment. The council have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion by Councilmember Boker, second by Councilmember Jones. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council meeting of June 20th, 2023 is now concluded by a vote of 5-0 in the affirmative. The time is now 10:36. We hope everybody has a good next couple weeks. Enjoy yourselves over the 4th of July weekend, and we'll see you back here on July 3rd.